Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. So I'm watching the NBA playoffs last night, and I just can't get the thought out of my mind. Minnesota is beating San Antonio with experience, not with talent. It's like watching Vegas and Mammoth all over again. Vegas' experience, able to grind out close games, and Minnesota made some mistakes of their own, but they won the fourth quarter, and they won the game. The Utah Mammoth closing out the season. And some of the guys talking with the media afterwards. Nick Schmaltz wrapping up the 2026 campaign. Here's Nick with the media.
Can you walk me through the last 24, 48 hours of kind of processing, not just personally, but with your team, about how the season ended?
Yeah, it's obviously still pretty disappointing. I thought, it was a really tight series, and thought we could have come on the other side of it, but at the end of the day, we didn't. So we got to learn from it and take this experience and try to get better from it.
As a leader in this room, where do you feel like the biggest point of growth was, not just from last year to this year, but over the course of the season?
Yeah, I think everyone came in and ready to go right from day one. I think we had a goal to get to the playoffs, and everyone was bought in right away and dug really deep to, get to that point. And a lot of guys took a lot of big steps for us, played huge roles. It was fun to see the growth in everyone's game, and just makes me really excited to, see what guys come in next year and how hungry everyone's going to be.
Congratulations on some new career highs this year, and I know you also got some Selke votes, so congratulations on that. Just how do you feel like you've grown as a player this season?
Yeah, I think, transitioning to center, I played center my whole life, and then haven't really played in the NHL much, and I felt really comfortable there right from when they switched me there, and thought my 200-foot game was really good, more consistent every night, kind of bringing the same game, and not as many ups and downs, and just trying to do everything I can for the team and playing in all situations. So looking to build off of that and continue to get better.
We've seen you have success alongside Clay and Keller on the same line over the past couple of years, and now Lawson Krause consistently on that top line. What is it about those two guys that makes you play to your best? Yeah,
I think it's a good balance. I think me and Kels have played together for a long time, have good chemistry. We're always looking for each other and read really well with each other. And Krauser's a big guy that skates well, makes plays, and has a finishing touch. So I thought we gelled well together, and hopefully we can continue building our chemistry and be a big impact next year.
Heading into the first offseason of your new contract, what's something that you want to work on over the offseason to prepare for a new season?
I think just getting better. I think I can score. I still continue to score more, be more productive every night, help the power play out. I think we need to be better in that area. I think especially in the playoffs, I think we weren't good enough on the power play. So focus on that. Face-offs, work on that. I don't know. There's a bunch of things, but I think just making sure I'm ready to go and put myself in a good position to be healthy and ready to go from day one next year.
Wasn't the result that you guys wanted, but how does that series with Vegas help build confidence in what you're building here and what you can accomplish moving forward?
Yeah, I think it was huge for a lot of us. It's been a while for a lot of us that haven't played in the playoffs in a long time, so just feeling that intensity, how hard it is, the difference between the regular season and what it takes to win. I think we were right there every game. It was tight, and we got to find a way to get over the hump and make that play that matters and ultimately leads to winning the game and the series.
Clayton Keller went through a lot this year personally in his life. He still played 82 games, all games, had a career high in assists, 88 points. What did you see from him this season, being able to push through all that, to have the season he had?
Yeah, it was, pretty impressive, to be honest. I mean, he went through a ton. Can't imagine what he was going through with his family life. I mean, it was terrible. We were all devastated, and he battled through it. Very impressive, and just shows how great of a leader he is. And he didn't want to miss any games. So hats off to him, and another great season by him.
When you spoke at your contract signing, it was a lot of emphasis on buy-in for this team, this organization. As you guys continue to move down the stepping stones of success, when you're growing and building on those things, where is the level or the standard of expectation you guys want to continue to set moving forward?
Yeah, I think we're going to have the same expectation as this year. I think get into the playoffs. I think that's the first and foremost thing. I think it's hard to do. There's only 16 teams that make it every year. Good teams miss it. So we can't overlook the regular season. Just think we're going to be in the playoffs. We got to come to work. Our division's probably the best division in hockey, so it's not easy. And it's going to be a battle every night. And then once you get in the playoffs, anything can happen. So I think just focusing on getting in first and then go from there.
There's Nick Schmaltz. Now here's Dylan Guenther.
I know Bill was laughing this morning. Couldn't take me seriously in the meeting there.
What do you take the most pride in this season? I know it was a long one, but ups and downs. Where do you guys take the most pride in?
Yeah, I feel like we set goals, and I mean we achieved them. I think throughout the year we obviously had bigger goals, but throughout the season we were pushing to make the playoffs, pushing to be in the wild card one, and we achieved it. And not satisfied with it. I think there was still I think we left a little bit on the table, which gives you a little bit of a sour taste, but I think it's important to have that too, and just so you have that feeling and you understand what it's like, because you don't want to be there again.
Andre shared with us after that last game that the game one of round one was a big learning lesson for a lot of younger guys like yourself. What did you take away most from that first game of the first round of Stanley Cup playoffs?
It was kind of what I expected, to be honest. It's just long. I think the whole series is just long, and it's just about sticking with it the longest. And you're playing the same team, and you're just continuing trying to grind them down. So I think just the process of trying to grind down the other team and how to just chip away and kind of invest is a good learning experience.
There was an air of confidence about this room all season long. What made the biggest difference between last year and this year in terms of being able to operate in that culture with the group?
Yeah, I think when you have a little bit of success, definitely brings confidence. But no, I think that we've always kind of had that. I feel like for us to be successful, we play with a little bit of swagger, and we have some skill and stuff, and I think it's important for us to use that.
40 goals this year. Congratulations. That's a big milestone. But where do you think you can get? You're still really young, probably still pushing to get even better than that. Where do you think you really can reach in your career? Yeah, I think I've gotten better every single season, physically, and I think I just want continuous improvement. Might not show up all the time on the game sheet, but I think just trying to strive and trying to get a little bit better every single season is my goal. How do you think playoff hockey compared to the other high levels of hockey, or high intensity hockey games that you've played, whether in WHL championships and World Juniors and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Was there anything that surprised you about the intensity or anything like that?
I feel like it prepares you well, playing in those big games, and even playing in the playoffs in junior, still a 7-game series, you're still breaking down the other team. But I think it prepares you. But yeah, just the crowd and the people watching on TV and stuff. I think it's just a lot of fun to be there, and to have that makes you want to be back there.
You mentioned the 40 goals. Again, big deal. Congrats. But Turney, you mentioned all throughout the season how good you were on the other side of the puck as well, and not a lot of people see that. How do you think you've improved this season, especially on that side of the puck?
Yeah, I think like goal scoring has kind of got me into the league, but being able to defend and stuff got me more minutes, especially like when I was younger, and just allowed me to play more and then utilize the stuff that I'm good at. So I take pride in that. I think I'm competitive, and I don't like when they score when I'm on the ice. So I think that's a big part of it. And yeah, I mean, if you want to be a winning team, everyone has to defend. So.
Who knows what the ceiling is for you goal-wise, but what do you want to work on during the off-season to help you into next season?
I feel like I can hold on to more pucks, like down low. Try to just work on protecting the puck a little bit better, spinning off guys and stuff, and then getting to the net. I think if I can add like a few more rebound goals and like even tipping goals, those add up. So I think continuing to work on that aspect, and then just speed and strength. I mean, faster I am, the more productive I'll be, and better the team will be.
A couple of the guys have said that playoffs are now the standard. How do you uphold that standard moving forward with how difficult it is to even get to the postseason?
Yeah, I think you just want more all the time from yourself, and then when the players want more from themselves, the team will just naturally be better. But yeah, I mean, we've gotten better ever since I kind of came here. The team's gotten a little bit better every season, and I don't think that'll stop.
What did that first round series against Vegas, an experienced team, teach you about what it takes to win in the postseason? Yeah,
I think just sticking with it. I think the last game we played in front of them a little bit too much, and they were just pretty calm and collective and composed, and allowed us to just kind of make the mistakes. So I think just keeping that level head and not forcing stuff when it's not there, just chipping away, and it'll come.
All right, there is Dylan Guenther. We're going to take a break. When we come back, Steve Cleveland and Mike Folta coming up, talking NBA playoffs. We'll talk with Steve next, and then Mike on the Mammoth. Stay with us right here on The Zone. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Steve Cleveland joined us in yesterday's show to talk NBA playoffs, all the Game 7s over the weekend. Obviously, we had Game 1 last night with the Knicks just annihilating. I mean, just absolutely crushing the Sixers. Another blowout win for New York. And then Minnesota in San Antonio surviving. Spurs had a 3 at the buzzer to win it. Couldn't get it to go, so Minnesota gets the W there. Steve obviously didn't know about those games, but here he is talking playoffs with us. Steve, good morning.
Good morning.
You coached at BYU and Fresno State. When you were at Fresno State, you had Paul George. You know him well. You've stayed in touch with him. And he and the 76ers are the story of the first round of the playoffs. The big upset, coming from 3-1 down to beat their ancient rivals, the Celtics, to 7 seed takes down the 2. But it feels like they were sandbagging. Paul George played 37 games. Embiid played 38. Between them, they didn't play a full season. And now here they are together in the playoffs winning. Did you feel like they were sandbagging, or are they just fortunate that their health came together, and given their history, staying healthy for 2 months and winning an NBA title seems like a stretch? What do you think of that?
Well, maybe a stretch. It was fun to watch, and obviously not having Tatum is a big loss for Boston. But that being said, it was fun for me to watch that game. I thought that they did everything that they needed to do, and it was just I didn't expect it, and that's probably why I enjoyed it so much. But yeah, it's one of those things that injuries can have a real toll on teams, especially late in the year. And to see Paul have a kind of a resurgence through a disciplinary issue during the course of the year, he had injuries. And then he stepped up and then really played well, and as the team did. So I was excited about that. I'm excited about the playoffs, and if they weren't there, probably not as excited. But the fact that Paul is playing, I'm looking forward to it all.
I'll never understand this, Coach. Just never understand it for the rest of my life. Is why a team continues to fire away threes when they're not hitting. Boston in that game, it's a one-possession game. It's close right down to the end. They're still firing away threes. They go 13 of 49, shoot 27%. What is the point? I know analytics says 3 is more than 2, but I'll go to my grave, and I'm not a mathematician thinking that 2 is better than 0.
No, I completely agree. Watching these games, especially watching that game, it just didn't make sense. It's like, yes, Tatum's not playing, okay? But that means we're going to play completely differently. I just thought they got away from their whole game plan, to be honest with you. It just kind of said, well, this is the only way we can win. And the fact is, the game is still very competitive. And I think maybe if they had played with a little more poise, with a little more togetherness and unity and making the extra pass, that they still had a chance to win the game. And I'm not sure that really the Sixers really believed it could happen, and still things started to unfold. And as you just mentioned, we're just jacking up threes, and it opened the door for them. And here we are, and the Boston's out of the playoffs, obviously, and we'll see going forward what's going to happen. But no, I agree. I just felt like they gave up. This is the only way we can win. And where's the mid-range game? Get to the free throw line. I just felt like, especially late in that game, they kind of, I don't know if they did physically, but emotionally and mentally, they seemed to just give up and figured this is the only way we can do it. And I think that's nonsense. I think they had a chance, and unfortunately, it wasn't going to happen playing that way.
I was told a long time ago when I was young, you're going to get an education because it gives you options, and life is about options. So my option turned out to be sportscasting. And the more I listen to coaches, the more I hear them say the same thing, usually in different words, but it's about options. If you're going to succeed, and it's every sport. Even coaches who want to run the ball in football want to have play action, and they want to throw deep so the safeties don't come up. You got to have options. Baseball. Home run hitters, hey, they're going to pitch you off the plate. You have got to learn to hit the ball the other way. Otherwise, that's all you're going to get. And if you try to pull that outside pitch, you're going to hit a ground ball to short every time. So you've got to learn to go the other way. You've got to have options. I've heard Pablo Mastroianni say it in soccer. Now we got a hockey team, and I'm hearing it. And I look at these basketball teams, and I'm actually on board. 3 is more than 2, the analytics tell you. But I also had a high school basketball coach who said, you just missed 3 18-footers in a row. Do you think maybe you got to go to the hoop? And then you go to the hoop and you get a bucket, you get a free throw. A couple minutes from now, you might go back and hit that 18-footer. And I've watched that play out in so many games. That's what I don't get. I get prioritizing it. I don't get staying locked in it. You've got to have other options. And when you get something going, you can go back to it. But I don't get the constant. I don't get it.
I think we saw a little bit late in the game where they got into mid-range shots, they got to the free throw line, and there seemed to be a little momentum change. But once they, they just continued to jack that thing up, and it took them out of an opportunity to be in that game late and to have an opportunity to win it. And I agree with you. I think that it doesn't matter whether we're playing high school basketball or junior college basketball or collegiate basketball or the NBA. The game's still the game. I mean, yes, there are different rules and different circumstances. I get all that. But at the end of the day, when you're trying to win close games, you're trying to get to the free throw line. You're trying to get yourself in a situation where you can attack the rim, where you provide and give yourself opportunities to get fouled and to stay in the game with free throws. But it just seemed to me that Boston just kind of decided to just start jacking them up, and that was the only way they were going to have an opportunity. We all know that Tatum would have made a difference, but he wasn't there. So how about adjusting a little bit with your game, trying to get to the free throw line and doing the things that keep you in a game where there's a little bit of a momentum swing? And you just don't know what will happen. But if you play that way and you stay committed to it, I don't think they give themselves a great chance to put themselves in a position to win that game.
And coaches go along the lines of a James Harden. He plays 37 minutes in the Cavaliers series clinching win against Toronto. He's only a pedestrian 3 for 9 from the field, 1 for 5 from 3, but he's 11 of 13 from the free throw line. And he's been doing this. He's made literally hundreds of millions of dollars by doing this, not being the best shooter in the world, but still finding ways to contribute to your team. If your shot is hitting, great. His shot, 3 of 9, wasn't necessarily on, obviously 1 of 5 from 3, but he makes 11 points at the free throw line. He goes there 13 times. There's something to be said for that, and I think that's what you're trying to say.
Yes, I do. I mean, and I think because we think it's the NBA or we think it's collegiate or high school, honestly, the game itself hasn't changed that much. We realize the NBA, the three-point line is, farther away, and the game is played a little bit differently from high school to junior college to collegiate to the NBA. But the game is still the game. It's a purist game. These are the things we do. I don't care if it's a 10-year-old playing or a veteran in the NBA. The game shouldn't change, and regardless of what's going on. And I just felt like whether it was Boston the other night where they were just jacking shots up and continued to shoot the three. It's funny, late in that game, they got to the rim and got to the free throw line, but then they came right back and they put themselves in a position again, long rebounds. And when you're shooting that many threes, what happens is the opponent gets long rebounds. And now there's transition baskets that wouldn't happen if you weren't just committed and yourself to the three ball. And I think, again, it doesn't matter what level we're talking about. The keys to successful basketball is getting to the free throw line, attacking the rim, shooting and making extra passes to get opportunities to get twos and to get threes, or to get to the point where you can hit threes and get fouled. And I was disappointed in the game plan. I realize your best player is not playing, but I don't think they gave themselves an opportunity to really win that game, because I'm not so sure that the confidence level in these games kind of wanes. And I was disappointed in that. And I'm thrilled to see that Paul could be there and be involved, and they could get a big win. But I just think they took the wrong approach, and consequently, it happened. But we hope Tatum gets feeling better and they'll come back. Boston's always going to be in the thick of it. They're well coached, and but it was one of these things that I think they probably they didn't give up, but the approach they took to trying to win this game just didn't make sense to me.
Going big picture on the playoffs here, watching the regular season, and I know the playoffs are different. Watching the regular season, I thought the Thunder and Spurs are far and away the best teams. Now we get to the playoffs. 6 of the 8 series go 6 or 7 games. And the only 2 that didn't are the Thunder winning in 4 and the Spurs winning in 5. Are the Thunder and the Spurs the 2 best teams? Are they going to meet in the Western Final, and is that essentially the NBA title series?
Yes, to that question, yes. I mean, OKC, they sweep. The Lakers win 4-2. Nuggets, the T-Wolves, who were right there, they win 4 games to 2. But I think the Spurs and OKC are the 2 teams playing, and probably the 2 best teams in the NBA. We'll see what happens in terms of San Antonio and if they can continue this. I mean, it looks pretty obvious. I mean, Detroit in the East, in Cunningham, Embiid, Maxey, Brunson, all of these guys in the East that are keeping, just solid players in the NBA. But I just like the idea that OKC beats the Lakers, T-Wolves get beat by the Spurs. You got San Antonio with Wemby and Castle, and I just think that the teams that we see right now, I just like this. In the Eastern Conference, I like the Knicks. I know that, I don't think the Cavaliers are there for the long term. Detroit obviously had a good year, but they barely hung on to win 4 games to 3 against the Magic. So that's one of those things you never know until the end. But I like the Knicks. I'm excited about the Sixers being in it. And who knows? Embiid, he goes for 34, 12, and 6. Maxey goes for 30. The thing I loved about that game with the Sixers is that Maxey just took over. And they had 30, 11, and 7. He wasn't a big part of that game. And maybe the guy that really got him over the top was Edgecombe, who went 23, 6, and 4, and put the Sixers in a position where they beat the Celtics. Mind you, Tatum was hurt. But I just felt like Boston just started, Brown and White both just jacking up threes, thinking that's the way they're going to win. And I don't think that was the formula to winning. And I'm not sure they win no matter how they play. But I'm excited about both the Eastern and Western Conference playoff games. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just great to see different people and different teams.
I got an assignment for you, Coach. Are you ready?
Okay. Yep.
Here's what I want you to do. Jazz face an interesting offseason, as most teams do, but particularly this is the team we focus on, and they're ready to take another step. So I want you to call up Austin Ainge, say, hey, Austin, haven't heard from you for a little bit, and just wanted to talk to you. Hey, what's going on? And then he gives you some nuggets on what they're going to do, and then you report back.
I will do that. I will do that, and we'll talk about it next week. You know, it's funny you should mention that, because when Austin came in and we had a quick phone call, and I really haven't had any real communication with him, but I'll give him. Hopefully, he'll return my phone call. But if he does return my phone call, I'd love just to talk to Austin. And listen, we all know that they're absolutely up against it, and so I would be interested, and if they don't mind, I'll share it with us all. And hopefully he'll give us some nuggets and some insights to what's next for the Jazz. Because I think the one thing about this community that I've never seen in any other community is that regardless of what happens on the floor, off the floor, the Jazz fans are the most loyal fans I've ever seen. And it seems like every time I go to a Jazz game or I'm watching a Jazz game, the place is full, it's packed, there's energy. And so hats off to a community that supports the team that's been in a real struggle the last few years. So all of us involved in this, the fans, myself, you guys, all the reporters, we all want to see the Jazz take a next step. And hopefully that happens sooner than later.
Well, if you talk to Austin this week, he might hit you with the answer, not sure what we're going to do, Steve. Talk to me Sunday about 1:30 when that draft lottery is over, and I'll have a better idea. Because if they have a top pick, I think I know what happens. But if they're picking 5, 6, 7, 8, well, not 8, but let's say they're picking 5 or 6, are they trading the pick? Do they want a smaller point guard? That's probably what will be on the board at that point. You know, if they're drafting 3rd or 4th, it gets really interesting. Can they move up? I think that would be difficult, but possible. So a lot rides on that draft lottery coming up Sunday. I mean, a lot rides on that thing.
It does. And you know what? I'll get to work myself as well. I know we always usually take some time to talk about the draft, and not just the lottery, but the draft itself. And I'm excited about taking time to talk about the draft and what we see happening, and if there's some trades. So it'll be exciting. It's exciting stuff, and it's certainly for the Jazz. There's some opportunities here, and hopefully they can get better and move forward. I have complete confidence in Austin, and obviously Danny's been around doing this for a long time. But I think we're all hopeful that we can take the next step, whether it's a trade or whatever the circumstances are. All of us here in Utah, I know, want to see this thing get better, and I'm supportive of them, and I'm hopeful that in the next year or two, and in my mind, the quickest way to do this is through trades. And not through the draft, because now we're waiting again for another 2 or 3 years. So hopefully a combination of both, and we'll see what happens next week.
All right, there is Steve Cleveland. When we come back, we'll talk with Mike Folta, radio voice of the Utah Mammoth. Stay with us. Good morning, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Mike Folta joined us in yesterday's show to talk about the Mammoth and what to look forward to next season. Of course, at that point, we didn't know Vegas was going to win Game 1, beat Anaheim 3-1. Good third period for Vegas, an empty netter to put it away. So they're up 1-0 in that playoff series. Here's Mike Folta with PK and I. There are options also for Mike Folta, but he chooses to speak with us before he disappears to play golf somewhere in central Indiana. Mike, good morning.
Central Indiana. Boy, I got a 12:50 tea time over at Rose Park this afternoon. Come on, give us the golf part's absolutely right, though.
You and everybody else in the NHL. It's just from a slap shot to a tee shot. It's a small tweak. You're ready to go.
That's right. And for me, they're both not very impressive, but I got some time to work on it now. So. Starting to get into that off-season mode. We had exit meetings yesterday. We're going to hear from Bill Armstrong and management, we think, coming up in the next day or so. Not sure exactly when, but Yeah, it's that kind of weird feeling where school's over, everybody breaks for the summer, and you're excited for the summer, but you wish you were still playing right now. And I think the Mammoth, everybody on that team thought they were going to be playing in a Game 7 on Sunday in Vegas, and here we are. So it was a good season for the Mammoth. It was unequivocally a successful season, but once you're in the fire, like all you think about is winning that next game. And I think you can say it's a successful season, but that doesn't mean we all feel like it right now. And I think that's okay.
Yeah, Mike, I think that happens in every sport. When the end comes, it comes so suddenly. You're on a rush, you're on a high. And even me as a old sports writer and now into radio, experienced it. You're all excited. And then when it ends, it's like a big crash. It's like, oh, what do you do now? I got something a bone I want to pick with you, because I thought, Mike, you were exclusive to us, but then the other day I hear you on the afternoon show. So instead of Mike Folta not being exclusive, from now on, you're going to be known to me as Mike Vrabel.
Hey, let's leave Diana Rossini out of this, okay? for my sake and for Mike Vrabel's sake. You know what? I did go. I was talking with Jake and Ben. I had talked with JJ and Alex throughout the year a little bit. But guys, I want you to know they were just getting your leftovers. They kind of like Diana Rossini. They were just getting your leftovers. Like they were. I was recycling my material. You guys are my day one ride or die. And but it's. Oh, sorry. Was that across the line?
A little bit, yeah. I think so. I think officially we can get a ruling from the judges, but I'm pretty sure that was across the line.
Okay.
No, you got. In order to cross the line, you got to get to the line, Mike. Keep pushing it.
Well, if you want to hear more Diana Rossini jokes, just tune into Jake and Ben this afternoon. So it'll be the same one.
All right, so there are some free agents here, and it sounds like most of them want to come back. I think Yamamoto was the most blunt maybe, but I think they were all pretty clear. So what do you think is going to happen first as far as retaining guys? There's $14 million worth of cap room. Who do they want to spend it on? Where do you think they're headed with this? Can you bring the group back, or do they have to make some changes?
Yeah, there's going to be some really hard decisions made this year by players and by management. And you look back at guys like Kyler Yamamoto, who's an unrestricted free agent. You could go down the roster and point to all these guys who are UFAs, and you could make a case for them to come back next year pretty easily. Like Kyler Yamamoto was a player who 2 years ago in Utah's first season, he had to basically play his way into a contract in the preseason. He didn't sign until October, and then this year he signs a one-year deal in July. The Mammoth didn't mess around; they got him signed quickly because he was so effective. Alexander Kerfoot is another guy who's an unrestricted free agent. Kevin Stenlund, like those are two huge pieces for you right there. They kill penalties. They're very good defensive players. Stenlund is your best face-off man. That's a big decision. Like what happens next there? Ian Cole is going to be an unrestricted free agent. He's 37. Nick DeSimone, another defenseman, unrestricted free agent. So do you bring those guys back? They were great whenever they were put in throughout the year. And Cole played in all 82 games and all the playoff games. So a lot of decisions could be made. And I don't have the answers for you as to who sticks around. But the thing you have to remember is there's guys coming up. There's prospects. There's draft picks that are coming up through the system. And a lot of them had really impressive seasons at their respective levels. You're talking about T. Ginla, who scored almost a goal a game in the WHL. He'll have a great chance to make the team. Cole Baudouin, a kid who's 20 years old. He's going to be a pro player next year. We just don't know what level, if it'll be the AHL or the NHL. He was one of the most decorated players in the Ontario Hockey League this year. You've got Caleb Denoyer, who was taken fourth overall last draft by the Mammoth. He'll be 19, and he'll have a chance to make the team as well coming out of camp. And you can go on down the list. There's a bunch of guys like that who are waiting for their turn to be that next guy coming up. And I think that's what we're going to be talking about for most of the offseason is can those hot shot prospects make the team? But that absolutely is going to factor into who can go and who will stay in terms of these unrestricted free agents.
Yeah, this reminds me. Are you a Cubs fan at all?
Funny enough, I was sick of all the Cubs and Reds fans around me, so I veered off the road and went to be a Cardinals fan growing up in Indiana.
Okay, that's cool. And I can respect that because I've done that my whole life, where everybody zigs, I zag, or vice versa. But it reminds me of maybe two guys that come to mind in baseball. Chris Bryant, when he was drafted, kid out of Vegas, and I think he went to San Diego, and he was taken high. And then Mike Trout, a kid out of South Jersey. You kept hearing about those guys in their respective minor leagues for the Cubs and the Angels. I went to a Cubs spring training game down in Phoenix one time. It's just south of ASU, not very far, Sloan Park. And it was like 2 hours before the game, and everybody was waiting for Bryant. He was going to come out of the clubhouse and go work out at one of the fields in the back, not even play in the main game. And the line for him to maybe get an autograph or to see him was just incredible, because I went over and I go, what's all the fuss about, right? And so now I keep hearing these guys in the Utah organization, and I'm just wondering, as you look at them, what have you heard in terms of any of them being a Chris Bryant or a Mike Trout? Because obviously they made major impacts, and I realize Bryant has gotten hurt. But when he's with the Cubs, they won a World Series, and Trout has had a resurgence and is probably a Hall of Famer. And I wonder who among these guys, because we've heard so much about them, can really be a star at the NHL level.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think you hear about all of them, to be honest. All you have to do is talk to Bill Armstrong for a couple of minutes, and he will. You could be talking about the weather, and somehow he would work the prospects into the conversation because I think the organization is that excited. And honestly, guys, that's why contracts are being structured the way they are right now too. You look at Bill signing guys to longer term deals. Guys that he wants to keep around that are going to help the team, but those longer-term deals also help keep the AAV down as well. Like you think about signing Cooley to an 8-year, $80 million deal, that's $10 million a year. It sounds like a lot, but if you were to wait a year, if you were to wait, at the end of this season as opposed to signing that deal in October, his price is probably going up. So, and the same thing for Dylan Guenther, who they jumped on really early. They're trying to keep the AAV down for these guys and sign them as early as possible because they know there's going to be some elite players coming in. And, I'm really excited about T.J. Ginla. He's a guy who has an elite shot. He's got a ton of skill. He's the son of NHL Hall of Famer Jerome Ginla, so he's got some great lineage. He's an incredible kid, too. Like when you meet a young player and you just have zero doubt that they're going to be a star because of their temperament and their character and personality. Like that's T.J. Ginla. We've seen him in the preseason. It's gonna be an adaptation for him to get ready for the NHL game compared to what he's been going through in juniors. But like his skill and his shot, like that translates across any level. So there's going to be, an elite scorer in a few years. We're hoping that you're getting into the organization. Another guy you're hearing about is Michael Robel, a goalie from the University of Massachusetts, the mighty Minutemen. He's 6'7". He was a second-round pick a couple years ago, and he had one of the best seasons for a college goalie like in recent memory. He was incredible for UMass, and he joined the Tucson Roadrunners in the AHL at the end of the year. Played a few games with them, looked really good. I don't know how quickly we'll see him in the NHL, but we have another goalie that could be making his way up in Michael Robel. I think everyone's really excited about him. And then also, guys, we still haven't seen a ton of Daniil Boot and Dmitry Simashev. These were two first-round picks from a couple years ago that got their toes wet this season, played a little bit, and showed some really good things, but still needed some ripening. They spent most of the year in the minor leagues where they were dominant. Like when they were in the minor leagues, Neil Boot was a point-per-game player, and Dmitry Simashev was maybe the best player on the ice with Tucson. So I think you're expecting those guys to take another step heading into training camp this year and compete for, positions in Utah's lineup. So it's exciting. It's all exciting, and we're going to see how it unfolds at training camp. And then once we hit free agency on July 1st and the draft, and the Mammoths have a stockpile of weapons and prospects. And here's the other thing, guys. Don't be surprised if some of these draft picks or some of these prospects get traded away for current players, just because the Mammoths have that ability.
Yeah, it's a Josh Doan story then.
It could be. And look, I think we all thought Josh was going to be a great player. And his timeline wasn't as much in line with what Utah needed. And the Mammoths were trying to bring in that elite scoring threat because they were missing that 2 years ago. They weren't missing it as much this season. They had 6 different 20-goal scorers, including J.J. Peterka, who came over for Josh Doan. Honestly, like if you would have told me Josh Doan would have had 25 goals this year with Buffalo, which he did, I don't know if I would have bought that. But give credit to him; he had a great season in Buffalo. But yeah, absolutely, be ready for big swings from this organization because I think the Mammoths want to make it known that they're stepping into their championship window, if you will.
There are decisions where it's not just yes or no, sign him, let him go. I'm intrigued by someone like Barrett Hayton because if you're in a salary cap league, I just read a story about how the Dolphins had this with Tua Tagovailoa and went the wrong way. They tried to sign him early, like you said, keep that average annual value, right? And it bit him, and it cost the GM and the coach their job, right? Because Tua just didn't produce a high enough level. And now the same thing with C.J. Stroud, who had a great year, but now the numbers have dipped a little. And for the Mammoth, that's Barrett Hayton. Because he was a young guy on the way up, got to play some of the top line, had a 20-goal season, 46 points, and you're wondering, well, is he good for 25 or 30 goals? Can he turn into 50 or 60 points? Where's this going to go? And it went backwards this year. And so you could give him a longer-term deal and figure he's going to bounce back. You could let him go and make way for these young guys who might make a great transition, but maybe they struggle and need some time. And I read this one story that it was predicting somebody who knows Bill and has been following him way longer than I have, right? I've been on 2 years since the team moved. And they were predicting that he'd probably give him a 1-year deal, let it say, okay, best 2 years out of 3, Barrett, and you got to beat out these other guys who are moving up. But if you do it, and, guys have bad years sometimes, maybe he is 25 goals and 60 points next year. Maybe he bounces back and earns that big long-term deal. You have any feel for that? Because there's 3 potential options. And I didn't count the 4th you just brought up, which is sign him, put him in a deal, and move him. And somebody else wants to take that chance on him.
So Barrett Hayton's an RFA, which means a restricted free agent. So it's not exactly an unrestricted free agent. He can't just go wherever he wants. At some point, he will turn into a UFA.
1 more year to unrestricted. Yeah.
Right. So he's restricted right now, which means the team has a little bit more control over the situation. I think over the last 2 years, one of the conversations around Barrett Hayton, I think, has been that he has been playing the 2C, the 1C position, like one of your top 2 centermen. Mm-hmm. And he's probably on a good team. He's probably a 3C. It was only a couple years ago where he had 20 goals.
Right.
This year he didn't quite have the puck luck. I think he had 9. So you're right. Like the numbers dipped significantly, but he also didn't see as much time that high up in the lineup. Like He got moved down, and by the end of the season, we saw him slotting in that 3C neighborhood, or even 4C in the playoffs. And guys, he was hurt in the playoffs. Like he played 1 game. He was playing banged up. He was not at 100% there at the end of the year. But you give credit to him for trying to play through it. But on a good team, yeah, he's probably not your first or second line center. And Andre Tourney loves Barrett Hayton. Like, he's been through the battles with him all throughout Barrett's career. He came in as a teenager and was a really high draft pick and was a guy who the Coyotes probably could have drafted later in the first round. I'll just say that. And it's not Barrett's fault. He got drafted, 5th or 6th overall. But he's incredibly versatile. I remember talking about him last week either with you guys or with my other marriage, Jake and Ben. And he takes face-offs. He kills penalties. You can put him on the power play, and you can put him with top players. Like, he's played a bunch with Keller and Schmaltz over the last couple of years. Now, but the difference between Barrett Hayton and those examples of C.J. Stroud and Tua Tagovailoa that you mentioned, DJ, is that Barrett Hayton's not on a $100 million contract. Right. He's making $265 this season. So I don't know what that number would be next year. I will say his value exceeds his stats. Like, a guy like J.J. Peterka is paid to produce. Like, he's going to be judged on his points. A guy like Barrett Hayton, he does a lot more than that. And I think Barrett Hayton might lead the team in assists that don't count as assists, where the goal would not have happened without Barrett Hayton, but he doesn't get, like, any, goal or assist or point for his work on the ice, whether it's a screen or winning a face-off or
The story I read pointed out that he brought a lot of value on the defensive side of the puck, and the stats aren't going to measure that as well. So all this has to be weighed in. And the fact that he'd be holding down a roster spot. And so what do you think of him long-term versus some of the young guys in the minor leagues who we read about, but we're not seeing them, and obviously the club is. It's just really intriguing. He just sat at the crossroads, and it could go so many different ways.
Well, and think about this too, guys, is that I mentioned these other names earlier, Alexander Kerfoot and Kevin Stenlund. They're both unrestricted free agents. They're both UFAs. So how many of these centermen are you going to let walk, basically, or if any? Are you going to keep them all? What does that look like? And so I think Barrett Hayton's situation is tied to those other two guys. And the prospects coming up, Cole Baudouin for the Barrie Colts. He's a guy who is very good defensively as well. I think he was named the top defensive forward in the OHL this year. He's a centerman. He can play that role. And Caleb Denoye is a centerman as well. Now, I am leaning towards believing Denoye at 19 years old is going to be in the American Hockey League. I think that'd be a great place for him to kind of earn his chops. He could make the team, just like Cole, but those are two guys who might not make the Mammoth out of camp. And so if you have two guys that don't make the Mammoth out of camp, and then you have, Stenlund and Kerfoot and their status is in question, like, are you in a hurry to chase Barrett Hayton out of town? I'm definitely not.
Yeah, that's why the story was saying he might get 1 year, that they might not commit to him long term, but they could walk him up to that unrestricted free agency with a 1-year deal. It's just one person's opinion. Who knows? We'll see what Bill does. We'll leave it right there for now, Mike. We appreciate it. And if you haven't seen the photo, they do that gone fishing thing when the teams get eliminated from the NBA playoffs, and they usually put a local celebrity. So when Boston got knocked out, it was Vrabel and Rossini on the boat with them. So you're not.
I saw that. Yeah.
Joke. Yeah.
Yeah. I saw that. I was like, man, we can probably leave them alone. Right. I mean, but you know what, guys, I'm gonna hang up with you. I'm gonna head over to this nice couples resort in Sedona just to unwind for a little bit, and I'll let you know how it goes. I'm gonna check out the rooftop, see what's going on.
There's Mike Folta. When we come back, what is trending? The headlines are next.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
It's time to get your morning started with the news you need to know. News update. This is what's trending with DJ and PK. Hashtag NBA.
Offensive rebound, Bridges. 4 seconds left in the second quarter. Brunson right wing. He'll take the three. And he hit it. 0.3 to go before halftime. And Jalen Brunson has a 27-point first half.
6 to shoot. Ant settles for the three. Right side. It's on its way. It's nothing but nets. Anthony Edwards' third three. He's up to 13 points. Champagny moves to his left, fires a three at the buzzer. It's off the front rim, no good. The ball game is over. The Timberwolves have stolen game one in San Antonio, 104-102.
The Timberwolves win the fourth quarter, win the game. Spurs down 9, get off the deck, rally. They can't get the last shot to go, PK. Playoff basketball at its most dramatic.
Yeah, why would they get the last shot to go? It was a three-pointer. They shot 28%. So they had a 70% chance of missing, and they did. You're ridiculous. You're down by 2. You got an 8-foot-tall giraffe in there who was 0 for 8 from 3. Boy, I sure felt confident when he jacked up a three-pointer number 7 and number 8 because I thought, wow, he's hot. What a screwed-up game this is. Why anybody would think that that's acceptable is beyond me.
Wembanyama stopped shooting him late in the game.
He should have stopped shooting him earlier in the game.
With at least 8 minutes to go. Yeah, he tried to go to the hoop late in the game, and he was, let's see what he'd be, like 2 for his last 5. He had that one big throwdown dunk where they basically got no one in front of him. But he had 2 shots and missed them both, and they finally got an offensive rebound and scored without him. He was really struggling. He didn't come anywhere near his numbers in a 2-point loss, so we'll see. And then also, the guy who could hit threes was the former Jazz man Mike Conley, who I don't think he's going to keep going 4 for 7 from the three-point line, but he hit a huge one as they ran that lead up to 9, which they ultimately needed because they were handling the ball like they were Duke at the end of the game. They're soft turnover with about 30 seconds to go that gave the Spurs life.
Duke has soft turnovers?
Those 2 turnovers they had when they got eliminated at the end of the regional final. Yeah,
I couldn't even recall who the hell they played.
They didn't need to advance the ball. They passed up the court and it got stolen. Yeah.
Now I remember, but I would have never remembered off the
I
top
thought
of
of it.
my head.
I'm with DJ. I thought about it exactly as that was going down.
Yeah.
I don't know. Truth be told, I was sleeping, so I didn't see the game anyway.
Wembanyama and Fox 0 for 12 from the three-point arc. If they keep doing that, the Spurs are in trouble.
Yeah, they scored as many points from the line there as
you and me.
Former Jazzman Joe Ingles and Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah. Yes. Kelly Olynyk, DNP, coach's decision.
And Kyle Anderson.
Yes. 3 former Jazzmen sitting there watching. Good seats, front row, well paid. Anthony Edwards came back. He was hurt 9 days ago. The hyperextended knee looked ugly. Man, 18 points, 8 of 13 from the floor. He did have a late turnover that was atrocious, and he gave up that rebound on this.
Reminds me of Seton Hall with Andrew Gaze in the Final Four in 1988.
Nice, Paul.
Andrew Gaze. Old school.
Well, I had Australians on my mind.
Okay. Well, impressive performance by Anthony Edwards in a playoff series with a lot of people sitting out, and if he had sat out, I don't think anybody would have been surprised, but they needed him, and he came through too.
Yeah, he reminded me,
squeak it out.
Reminded me of David Greenwood in '76 for UC Los Angeles.
New York Knicks blow out the Philadelphia 76ers. Another blowout for the Knicks. This is kind of becoming routine here, PK. They have thrashed Atlanta in 2 games to end that series, and now game 1 in this series, 137-98. And they were up 20 in the first half.
Reminded me of Philadelphia's Warriors in '62.
Detroit Pistons give J.B. Bickerstaff a contract extension on the heels of advancing out of the first round in 7 games over Orlando. They fired their coach, Jamal Mosley.
Reminded me how grateful
results-oriented business.
How grateful JB is that he was born into a family whose father had an NBA coach, and you two can be one too.
Yes. And grateful that Franz Wagner got hurt and wasn't there at the end of the series as they rallied. Or maybe he'd be out.
Yeah. I was hoping it was
get an extension.
71 and Wagner was going to play like Willis and come out of the tunnel, but it didn't happen.
Longtime Raptors executive Masai Ujiri lands in Dallas. He will run the Mavericks now as the team president. And they give him the title alternate governor. So he'll just report to ownership. He has all the power now.
Wouldn't that be lieutenant governor?
Cooper Flag. Yeah, right. They should consider alternate governor and lieutenant governor. That'd be awesome. I have changed my title. He was at Toronto for 15 years, and, of course, famously they won that 2019 NBA title there with Kawhi Leonard as a one-year rental. Doubleheader tonight, Cleveland and Detroit, 5 o'clock, Lakers and Thunder at 6:30. The Laker and Thunder game is on NBC, over the air on KSL 5. Cleveland and Detroit is on the NBC Sports Network. Hard to believe that NBC put the Lakers and Knicks games over the air. I think we're all stunned by that development.
Yeah.
DJ and PK.
#NFL.
Green Bay Packers add veteran backup Tyrod Taylor. He's going to back up the former Aggie Jordan Love in Green Bay. 15 years in the NFL. He's going to his 8th different team. He's played in 100 games over 15 years. Backup quarterback. What a way to go in the NFL, right, PK? That's a lot of paychecks, 15 years.
Sure. Whatever job you got, I'm grateful I got mine.
NFL may delay the release of the upcoming season at least a week. They're still negotiating with TV partners. I think that really should say they're negotiating with streaming partners, although apparently Fox wants in on the deal. They've got a package of 5 international games, and they got to schedule those. Typically the schedule will come out next week, but now it may take another one. So hold on while they shake down somebody for more cash. DJ and PK.
#Major League Baseball.
First pitch. Hit hard, left field, sinking, dropping. Here comes one run. Here comes the second run. Play at the plate, scoring, standing up is Jose Caballero. 2-run single by the captain, Aaron Judge.
A swing and a drive, left center field. It's deep. It's back toward the wall. Cubs win the game. Michael Conforto with a game-winning homer.
The Cubs beat the Reds 5-4. The Cubs 16-3 in the last 19 games. Which fan base should be more energized right now, PK? The Cubs, that's a heck of a run, 16-3 over 3 weeks. Or the Phillies, who changed managers, win again. Bryce Harper homers. Phillies shut out the Marlins 1-0. And Don Mattingly, only 1 loss in the week he's been on the job. They're flying too.
Well, the Cubs, they're 11 games over 500. And so looking pretty good. The Phillies still have a long way to go, and the Braves are in that division, so that would be much harder to accomplish.
Braves did get beat, but they have been off to a fantastic start. They lost in Seattle 5-4, but I was just reading a thing that 25-10, and then they're the 8th team to start that well, and 4 of the other 7 won it all. So the Braves obviously in the mix. So
yeah, it reminds me of the 37 Yankees.
I think it reminds you more of the 84 Tigers.
No. I'll stand by what I said.
The 98 Yankees.
I think it was the 38 Yankees. Pay attention.
Nope.
That's true.
Dodgers beat the Astros, and Shohei isn't going to hit. He's going through a little bit of a struggle here at the plate. So he's pitching tonight, and he will not be in the lineup. His hitless streak got extended, although he did score twice in the game. So all was not lost. He walked twice and came around.
Yeah, well, I think that's the way they're going. That's what I said weeks ago. They didn't do that. His last start, he did not bat.
Yep. Salt Lake Bees open a series in Oklahoma City tonight against the Comets. First pitch set for 5 o'clock. Tony Park's on the call on 1280 The Zone. And off the field, longtime Yankees radio broadcaster John Sterling passed away at the age of 87. was announced yesterday by the team. He called over 5,000 games. He's on the call for 8 World Series appearances. And more than a few times here, PK, we heard the Yankees win. The Yankees win. He had a few signature calls up there and was beloved by that fan base.
All rise. The judge is up to bat.
Yeah.
Here comes the judge.
Yeah. A Stantonian blast.
Yeah, nice. You got them all down.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have the app. I listen to their games. So I've been listening to them for years.
Derek Skubal, a little surgery, so he's going to be out 2 to 3 months. Something floating around in his pitching elbow, causing pain. He was supposed to be pitching last night, I guess he was supposed to pitch, but he was feeling something Sunday. He got the examination, so there you go. One of the most recognizable names among starting pitchers, certainly top 5.
Yeah, best pitcher to come out of Kingman, Arizona.
Now, there you go. And, Kingman with a population of?
A lot of people, more than you would think.
Okay. And 2 to 3 months without Skubal. So
yeah, and he's a free agent, so it could cost him some money.
Yeah. DJ and PK.
Hashtag NHL.
Canes with a chance, drifting in, getting a shot free is Hall. Still loose, they score! They score! It's over! Carolina, Taylor Hall wins it in overtime!
Cutting through right side toward the goal, backdoor, they score! Barbashev, the Knights are back in front.
Vegas Golden Knights take Game 1. They beat Anaheim 3-1. It was 1-1 with 5 minutes to go. Vegas got the go-ahead goal. Anaheim was angry. It was an icing call, but they didn't get the call. And then Vegas added an empty netter in the final minute, so they win Game 1. And you hear Carolina with that overtime goal. They're up 2-0 on the Flyers. Tonight, Minnesota and Colorado coming off that crazy 9-6 game will play Game 2 in their series. It's on ESPN at 6 o'clock tonight. There's your Stanley Cup playoff hockey, DJ and PK. Coming up, we've got multiple people on the horizon this morning. Brian Geltzeiler, SiriusXM NBA radio host and NBAtv contributor, joins us at 8:30. We'll talk NBA playoffs and Jazz moves in the offseason with him. Utah Royals forward Brecken Mozingo, a former BYU Cougar, will join us at 8:50. John Nabors, owner of Inside Arkansas and host of Locked On Razorbacks, will start our spring football tour at 9 o'clock. And we got Royals tickets to give away to see their game with Houston tomorrow night. We'll do that when Brecken joins us at 8:50. DJ and PK, the question of the day is next. Stay with us.
They've been doing it for a while.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but are we experiencing the most uninteresting NBA playoff we've had for a while? Oklahoma City's great. San Antonio looks to be pretty good. Everybody else sucks. I don't think San Antonio's as good as Oklahoma City. I think it might be even a one-sided West, which seems crazy, but
whoever comes out of the East is going to get trounced by whoever comes out of the West. The only series I think anyone's truly waiting for now in the playoffs is Spurs Thunder, and that's going to come in the conference finals, and that's going to be viewed as essentially the finals because whoever wins that's going to get the championship. So I think everybody's waiting for that.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
This Mother's Day, give her more than just a gift. Give her comfort she'll feel every single day. Now enjoy special Mother's Day deals. 50% off any regularly priced blanket with code ZONE50. Shop online at minkycouture.com or in store. Question of the morning, PK. The games, well, we got to hit pause for a while. The season is done. The Mammoth have been eliminated from the playoffs. What should we talk about now? Bum, bum, bum. And the people have suggestions. Christian, college football. Yeah, can you help him out?
Don't like it.
Well, good for you, PK, because we're going to be talking Arkansas Razorbacks here in a little bit.
The spring football tour begins.
Okay, when DJ starts asking about the schedule, I start drinking.
Game 2 for the Utes. What are you going to drink?
Something that's going to make me forget you asking about the schedule.
Well, it is Cinco de Mayo.
The schedule doesn't matter. All that matters is one game.
It's a good point.
Arkansas. Who cares what they do before or after?
Ken says Michigan football. So he wants college football, but he specifically wants something. Michigan football. A brand new story in this market. Mattering like it's never mattered before.
Them's facts.
Well, you'll get some of that.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, we got something from Kyle coming up at 8 o'clock. So stick around for that.
I bought season tickets.
Did you really? Flying into Ann Arbor? Taking your jet? Just hitting the road for the weekend?
I got wife's family all over that place. I can get free lodging.
Got a kid. Not everybody wants to talk football. Mark wants to talk basketball. How about we talk about how the Jazz are going to get hosed in the lottery again?
Well, then that's not news. Right?
Define hosed. Do they have to drop all the way to 5th? Did they get hosed last year?
Yeah.
They got Ace Bailey.
That doesn't matter. That's not the point.
They want Cooper.
They didn't move up or they didn't stay where statistically the odds said they should have stayed. So from that perspective, yeah. Now, that, as we've been saying all along, that's all secondary. Whether you're picking first or last or middle or anywhere in between, the charge remains the same, is to get a quality player. And if you have to move up or you have to trade, whatever you got to do to get a quality player. And Austin Ainge is working on it. Literally today he'll be working on it. And I'm sure they've had players in there that they're working out. They don't tell us anymore. But that's been going on. Examine, at this point, literally every possibility.
Even if you can't get the players in that you want to draft at the top spot, assuming you end up in the top spot, Austin's theory is you're examining everybody because you need all the info you can get when you can trade for them in a few years or they're a free agent for a few years. Got to gather the info now. So they'll get anybody in they can get.
Yeah, and I suspect Austin's here for the long haul. So 5 years, 10 years down the road, I mean, that's a long ways away, obviously. But you have an immediacy plan, you have a short-range plan, you have long-range plans. You know, I'm sure they're bored of free agents and salaries and everything goes out 5 years for when that time comes. And the immediacy, what is it? I think it's 1 o'clock on Sunday is when that thing comes out. I think it's 3 p.m.
Draft lottery, 1 o'clock. We'll have a special right here on 97.5 The Zone. I was talking to Lloyd about it yesterday. So
good for you.
Pop us on the air, and there it'll be.
Okay. You going to lead the charge?
I don't believe I am.
You and Ben?
No, I don't believe I am.
I heard
Not
you
sure
first
who
time.
is. He didn't tell me.
You going to be a part of the charge?
Possibly. You might be too. I'm not sure. I don't think that's all been planned out yet. I suspect we will get a phone call, though.
Yeah, it'd be nice if somebody would tell me rather than my coworker.
Well,
especially since I've made plans.
Well, then you'll probably be free to go. He wasn't even sure yesterday how long it was going to go. So it's random that I found out.
Sure, there'll be higher listenership on Mother's Day.
Joe. Yeah, people in the car driving to the Mother's Day lunch, right? Joe, how the Jazz can get the number 1 pick in the NBA draft and get A.J. DeBonsa. That should be your topic.
Well, but we have to wait. That's next week. Because then we'll have obviously a substantially better idea as far as where they draft. Because if they draft number 1, there is no maneuvering that they need to do.
Right.
They draft number 2. Who drafts number 1? They draft number 4. Who drafts number 1, 2, 3, on and on. So that will come into far clearer vision Sunday afternoon. Until this point, you have no idea where the thing is going to go. I mean, the statistics is this 11%. It doesn't mean anything.
Because eventually it'll either be 100 or 0.
Yeah, I mean, we go, oh, well, you're going to tank for a 14% chance. I heard that all last year. It didn't mean anything. It's not a you have a true 14%. Nobody knows what you have. And those numbers that they attach to that percentage-wise, when we've seen multiple times, as you would scream as recently as last year with the Mavericks, they're meaningless to me. And with 3 teams left, it's not 14%. You can't, if you only have 3 teams left, each of you can only have a 14% chance. That doesn't make any sense.
By then, the numbers have changed.
Right.
And they should be recalibrating those on the screen to make the show more dramatic, but they've never done that.
Well, just get on with it. I mean, I don't think it's a dramatic show. I mean, I don't think that the Charlotte Hornets, their fans, care about that.
They're just going to wreck the draft pick again.
Well, no, that they are not in the lottery.
This year they're not. No,
that's what I'm saying. Out. This year, I'm talking about this year. Who cares about?
Well, actually,
I remember that draft lottery in '69. Boy,
they'll be one of those
awesome.
teams with a 1% chance this year because they lost that playing game.
Right.
So.
It's only 0.5% if you want to be accurate. But who cares? It's not a compelling show to the league and its fans. It's a compelling show to 2 or 3 teams. That's about it. So get on with it. It should be a 10-minute thing. When Lou Alcindor was coming out, it was a coin flip, and it wasn't televised. And he ends up being one of the more impactful players in the league history. So, to me, do they do it at halftime? Do they do it before a game? What do they do?
I think 1 o'clock is a pregame show now. Oh. I expect there's a game that'll be on Sunday at 1:30. I haven't looked at the schedule, but they usually have a Sunday afternoon game, so I expect they'll have one.
Yeah. Then coming in here on Monday next week, yeah, absolutely. It's Jazz essentially all the time. And then you could start, if they draft third, figuring out who's it going to be. Is it going to be Cameron Boozer? I think DeBonsa has separated himself. And then you got the Peterson question. You got Boozer, the North Carolina kid. What's his name? Wilson?
Caleb.
He had an injury, and so then, how's that? Young kid, so it shouldn't be that devastating career-wise. But then we can go to town on those guys and start zeroing in. But, yeah, so whoever posted that, you just sit tight because it'll come, the cup will overfloweth with that because then it's about, 5 weeks until the draft? Yeah, and that'll be exciting. Hopefully it's not exciting. Hopefully they get number 1, and it's a clear cut who they're going to take. And if I were the Jazz people, if I got the number 1 pick and that's decided about 1:30, about 1:40, I would send out season ticket packages. Particularly if it's that young man.
AJ's coming.
Yeah, that would be a marketing bonanza beyond anything that they could ever even possibly imagine, literally. And then his talent and the way he has embraced the community and his family, blah, 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 that would be about as good as it gets. That would be LeBron to Cleveland, Ewing to New York.
The Mammoth are now done. What should we talk about on the show? Wow, look at this. There are so many people from L.A. here. GR, it's baseball season. Go Dodgers. Dan, let's talk Dodger baseball. And I got a couple thumbs up right there.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Ricky says MLB. I love PK's baseball history and analysis. Plus, I like hearing his Valley of the Sun sports takes. Got any hot Arizona sports takes right now?
They come in hot, don't they?
They do, especially this time of year. They're heating up.
I know down there it's probably just for a day, but they were talking about the Toronto Maple Leafs and their guy that they hired who was the GM of the Coyotes about a little more than a half decade ago, and he was only 26 years old. He got fired, then he got suspended, and they had a press conference in Toronto yesterday. And one of the local media guys went after him for being a con man and a liar. So that would be something, and I think they're hoping his name is John Chayka. And I think that the Phoenix people are hoping that Ishbia becomes what Ryan Smith has become here, and that he owns the franchise that they think they'll get awarded as the NHL expansion franchise because they kept all their stuff with the Coyotes. So that was the rage yesterday. I don't think that has legs to where it's going to continue for weeks. But when they get a team, or if they get a team, then, yeah, that'll be back on the front burner. But that's what they were talking about for now.
Phoenix, Houston, and Atlanta all chasing teams. So Ishbia be the champion, huh? Lead the charge.
Yeah, for those folks. Now that they've got NFL and everything else, so it's a little down the totem pole. But it's still obviously a major sport, and I have no idea if he has interest in wanting to do that. Blah blah blah. But apparently he has the finances, so you have to have that, obviously, and get their building and away they go. But that's what they were talking about a little bit yesterday.
Well, you gave him a little 38 Yankees earlier in the show, so they had to love that. He wants baseball history, and there you were with 38 Yankees, so,
Well, I would love to talk baseball, but it isn't really what I want to talk about. It's what people around here want to talk about.
We talk about local sports, and we don't have a local MLB team, and we don't have a horse in the race. And as soon as we do, we both think interest will pivot big time.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But it comes down to having a local team. You got to have a horse in the race.
I think there's two things that I have learned that I don't necessarily have any factual basis, but it's just my opinion here for sports marketing wise, is that it is a underappreciated baseball market, and when they do get that team, we will see it. And then I've long since believed, I don't know that they're big necessarily sports radio listeners, but I think there's way more women sports fans than we give credit for.
Well, I don't know who is we and who gives them credit. I have worked for people who certainly did not give them credit, and I've had to say, you're wrong. Just go to a game and look around. Ute game, Cougar game, Jazz game, now the Mammoths. The Mammoth weren't around when I was making that argument, but now they are. And just look how many people are there.
I went up to Rice Eccles one time, and I looked at all the women, and I said, I'm going to love women. There's money to be made off these broads.
I think you decided that long before Rice Eccles Stadium even.
No, I went up there one time.
You went up one time to NAU.
And I walked around, and I said, this is a burgeoning market.
Yeah.
Did you make a conscious decision?
He did, as a matter of fact.
Conscious decision that I'm going to love women.
At Thunderbird High, and then at NAU.
I did that St. Peter's the Apostle. I think I was in the fourth grade.
You rolling around Jersey. Yo, PK, how you doing?
I knew right then. I did that at an early age. I don't know how many of them are sports radio listeners. I can't speak to that. Not that I can speak to the other one anyway, but it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of Debbies out there. Let's put it that way.
I'm looking at the people who are commenting on our Facebook page right now, and there's about 15 comments for this, almost 20. And it looks like there's at least 3 off the top of my head rolling through this. So, yeah, there you go. Elaine wants more MLB talk.
That's a female?
Yep. Elaine, yes.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, but that is a little bit dicey because we don't have a team. And, we've survived all these years obsessing about the locals. You can get podcasts, MLB Network, and all that stuff. But if you want to know about the locals, you got to come here. Mm-hmm. But we are in between a little bit, outside of you two with your soccer. That's about it that we got going on as far as games. But next week changes when this lottery thing comes down because it could have a profound effect upon the Jazz. I think minimally it'll have a significant effect. On the flip side, maximally, I guess you would say, it could be a franchise changer.
The number one pick.
Yeah.
Changed the course of the club for a decade or more. Best case scenario.
Well, I don't necessarily need the number one pick to have that, though.
No, you don't, especially in this draft. There's supposed to be a lot of guys who can play.
And so that's what I'm saying. You don't. The number one pick is great, and you want it because you want the first option.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't mean that numbers whatever.
Doesn't mean there can't be several Hall of Famers and several future NBA champions in the same draft. It's happened before. It can happen again.
Yeah, and we'll have a good idea like in 2 to 3 years. It doesn't take that long, maybe even sooner, depending on where you stand and who you draft. Just because you get number one doesn't either mean that it's a guarantee, it's a lock that it's going to be a franchise changer. And more than likely, now this is just based on odds that you can't really quantify, it could be a while before the Jazz are drafting this high again.
And if they hit those odds, probably get even longer.
Yeah. I wouldn't suspect on their own that they're going to make trades and whatnot to get themselves there.
That's the dream, right? One of those unprotected picks is going to pay off one day.
Right.
That Nick pick we obsessed about for years.
Ooh,
nope.
Be careful on that when you say Nick pick.
Yes, you're right. But I got through it one time. The Cavs and the Timberwolves still have 29 looming out there. What will those teams look like in 3 years?
Right. So, and hopefully for the Jazz and their sake that they do have that again, but you don't necessarily know that. I don't think that it'll be through their own pick. I think that will be something that will be as an acquisition and some shrewd move that they had made X years before. And they could take a pick, trade it for another pick, a pick in the future.
Right.
Take that pick, trade it. So it might not just be specifically the ones that you just mentioned. It could be what was it? What'd you do? Was it yesterday? You went back to like 87? You went Jose
Ortiz to Jeff Malone to Jeff Hornacek.
Yeah, and boy, talk literally the kiss of death. Jose Ortiz died today.
You didn't know he got referenced on Sports Talk Radio yesterday.
Yes. 62 years old. I just saw that.
Not heard that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember him from Oregon State, actually.
Yeah.
Far too young. I don't remember him much with the Jazz. I wasn't following the Jazz at that point. I was following Pac-10 basketball. Not so much the Jazz. But, yeah, 62 years old. Far too young for Jose Ortiz.
Called a game. UC Santa Barbara went up there, played really well, and he was awesome, and Oregon State won anyway.
How many points did he have?
Unstoppable.
Do you remember his box score?
Low post basketball.
Do you remember his box score?
I don't, but I just remember him hitting a bunch of turnaround fadeaways in the low post, and he was unstoppable.
Unstoppable, man. Sweet.
Unstoppable. They could not stop him.
Hence unstoppable.
Yeah.
Oh, you see,
Michael doesn't go to sports. Michael goes in a different direction here, PK.
What?
You need a program director? Let's talk salary. What should we talk about on the show?
I would say we need a program director.
Shots fired, Lloyd.
I didn't talk to Lloyd yesterday.
Dave says the Stanley Cup playoffs and the NHL draft should be our topic.
Yeah, I don't think that
Stanley
has
Cup
widespread.
playoffs. Yeah, the NHL draft is like the baseball draft.
It is, completely.
I mean, these guys are playing in the juniors. They're drafting guys who are playing over in Russia. How are we supposed to know? It depends on the year in the NBA draft because we do get a lot of foreign players we haven't seen. When they're college players, then it's a little different. You got a chance to check them out and have an opinion.
Yeah, but I think the NBA that's less and less in terms of them being unknown.
Agreed. But it's still hard to weigh. This year, I think the foreign players are going to be drafted a little later, and they're going to be a little more anonymous. But you're right. When Victor Wembanyama was coming over, we all saw a ton of video, and we all know, well, he's going number one. And we knew it long before the draft lottery.
Right.
Whoever gets the number one pick is taking that guy.
And who was it? I think they've cooled a little bit
changing
on the foreigners. Was it Dickie V? Did he make the statement if their name, I think he had it with Luke Walton, if his name was Luke Waltonich, he would have been drafted much higher? Because it seemed like there was a run on those types of guys. I think that's cooled a little bit, and in terms of them being like a Darko Milicic. Would he go 2 or 3? And just was a stiff.
In what was a really good draft.
Yeah.
Detroit whiffed.
Right. And it seemed like there was a time there where those guys were overinflated. Everyone was trying to get the next Dirk Nowitzki. And they drafted guys that weren't all that good from that perspective. I think that's cooled a little bit now. If they're drafted high, it's probably because they're pretty good. And what it was earlier, right around, I think Dickie V made that comment. Do you remember that? You remember that stuff better than I do.
I think, and that was a solid 20 years ago.
Was it?
That he did
and
that.
was it Vitale make that comment?
It was Dickie V.
Okay.
Dickie V 20 years ago.
Okay.
And the draft did go through a change where there were a lot more Americans at the top. Now, lately, the MVP has been going to foreign players who've been drafted later. Giannis has won a couple. The Joker's won 3. Second-round pick, mid-first-round pick. Embiid was a pretty high pick.
But he played college ball here.
Gilgeous-Alexander,
those guys
Canadian.
But those guys played college ball. They're not
right.
They're not Americans, but they're not foreigners to the game.
Nor are they foreign to us when we sit at home and try to figure out the draft.
In 2016, 10 years ago, the Suns drafted Dragan Bender with the 4th pick. Huh?
Mm-hmm. How'd that work out, PK?
It sucked.
Give us a Valley of the Sun hot take.
Yeah. I couldn't remember the guy's name, so I called it up. It's hard to believe that it was 10 years ago, but it was. In 16, and you talk about how these picks can be franchise changers, either direction, actually. You look at it in 2016, since I got it called up right now, the Suns, the 4th pick, Dragan Bender. 2017, so literally just 1 year later, the 4th pick, Josh Jackson. 2 years later, the 1st pick, DeAndre Ayton. The Suns right now could be the Oklahoma City Thunder, but they're not. You know what I mean?
I do. They had chances, they had options, and they went a different direction, and so they get the results they get.
So that's 2 4th picks and a 1st pick, and you literally have nothing to show for it from 2016 to 2018. And we talk about the Jazz, how they set themselves up because they went thorough and then the statues. That's bingo, bingo, bingo 3 times in a row. And 2 of them weren't even in single-digit picks, right? Thurl, I think it was 6 or 7. And the other 2 were, I can't remember, what were they, 12 and 13 or something like that? You would probably know.
I always forget this, but I think it was 13 and 16.
13 and 16? Okay.
Yeah. I thought it was 13 and 16, but I have to look it up.
Yeah. And then you're watching McDaniels last night do his thing for Minnesota, and the Jazz drafted Razorbacks. That hurts.
Huh. So the draft now just seems like it's all over the map year by year. Last year, all of the top 10 picks played college ball. I mean, there was nobody, none of this.
Yeah, but I think you're going to see that more often because of the NIL.
I think that, right, and I think that could be help changing it for sure. This year,
well, it is
changing
it.
Not only are we seeing, we're seeing teams spend a lot of money on foreign players. I mean, let's just call it like it is. So that brings them over here, so we get to see them for a year before they play. Who was the kid at Illinois?
Jacovanish? Is that what you're talking about?
He came over. Yeah, he was a high pick, and I watched him play.
Right.
It was Rutgers and Illinois basketball, 2 things I never watched. I was watching them all the time.
Yeah.
If you go back a couple years, though, the Wembayama draft, only Brandon Miller played college ball, and so did one other kid. It's like 5 of the top 7 didn't play college ball that year. But that's also American kids not playing at that point, and that's all changed with NIL.
Yeah, I think that'll be a common situation. So how much we get to see NIL may change that. That even just 2 years ago, like the top half of was it 6 of the top 12 didn't play college, and Wembayama led it, but it was like 4 of the top 6 didn't play college ball. So it's just year to year. Is Alex Sarr going to be anything in Washington? He was the second pick that year. Now we all watch Castle because he was at UConn, and they're good, and just making all these deep tournament runs. So. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Stay with us. We got more hoops coming up. Joining us in the 8 o'clock hour at 8:30, Brian Geltzeiler, SiriusXM NBA radio host, NBA TV contributor. Get his thoughts on the draft and the NBA playoffs. Stay with us for that. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LaCombe.
Joining us now, Big 12 Radio, one of our favorites, Ari Temkin.
Much of their plan around next season and being the favorites of the Big 12 depended upon Sorsby being the starting quarterback. Looks like Will Hammond, who tore his ACL last year, is going to be the starting quarterback for them. To me, I'm operating under the assumption that Sorsby will not be playing quarterback for Texas Tech and will not be playing college football again. I was arguing that even with Sorsby, BYU should be in the conversation with what they bring back. I mean, Tech has a ton of talent, but BYU brings back significantly more players. I think without Sorsby, BYU is firmly in that favorite discussion. I think Houston, too, based again on what they bring back. Arizona's another team that should factor into the top of the conference. I think you can make the case that both Arizona and Utah should also be in that conversation.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
The KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities and nominate the youth sports volunteer for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest. And listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. PK, the Yankees' very popular broadcaster John Sterling. 36 years at the mic. He has passed away at the age of 87. Who is your favorite? And people are lining up with all kinds of options. And one of them was one of our favorites. We had him on the show. We love seeing him at the ballpark. Steve Klauke was my favorite, says Leroy.
Cool. I like it.
Yep. Michael says Skip Carey, dry and sneaky funny.
Which one is that? There's been like 18 of them.
There have been a bunch of carries. He did Braves.
Is that Harry's son rather than grandson?
Right. He's the son.
Okay.
Yes. He did Braves games.
Yeah,
Harry
yeah.
Carey's
All right.
son.
All right. I got you.
Yeah. And then Jeremy says, John Sterling was good, but he was no Harry Carey. To which Bob posts, Harry Carey was a drunk. To which Jeremy replies, yep, and he was fun to listen to.
Well, he made it fun. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I got into him and Steve Stone with the Cubs in the 80s. Watched a lot
Stone
of Cubs.
Up there trying to make sense of all the chaos.
Tons of Cub games that I watch. I watch with my mother. They come on 11 o'clock in the summers, and it's so blazing hot in Arizona. You're inside most of the time. And then I remember Casa Grande, when I had my first newspaper job, you basically work 2 shifts. You work 7 to 11 a.m. and then basically 7 to 11 p.m., right? So
and that leaves you time for Cubs baseball right in the middle of the day.
So I'd go home. I had a little apartment, and I'd go in there and just crash and turn on the game. Game would start about 11:15. Sit there and watch it. I mean, my fandom is different. The way I define fandom is if I follow your team, I don't necessarily get caught up in whether you win or lose. But if I follow your team hardcore, which at those days I was following the Cubs because I loved baseball, and then moving from the tri-state area there, the metropolitan area where you had games on every night because you either had the Yankees or the Mets, and then I moved out to Arizona and you got nothing. You got the game of the week on Saturday. That's about it.
Yep.
And so when that thing came along, that was a big-time blessing. Cubs and then the Braves. And that's where you end up. That was my first exposure to Dale Murphy, and then Bob Horner was a big-time high school
Arizona
star in the
State guy.
Phoenix area. And everybody, if you played high school ball, he was like the ultimate. He was the god of baseball. And so he went there too, and so watched them. And then from there, I ended up moving to California. For me, the two that I grew up listening to, and when I became a teenager, a young teen, and I'd moved to Phoenix at that point. We got Dodgers, so I ended up listening to Vin a lot on the radio, Vin Scully, and then, of course, I moved over there. And then also Knicks and Marv Albert. Those are my two.
Who are you exposed to? And I don't think it's any big surprise that here in Utah, 2 guys who worked on superstations get the shout out because everything you just said about Arizona is, if you were a baseball fan in Utah, you were probably watching the Cubs and the Braves. So, of course, the Braves and Cubs announcers get the shout out.
Yeah.
When I first got into radio, I worked nights, and it was a news talk format, and they had games at nights, and they were a Dodger network station, or UCLA briefly, and later they had UCSB games, they had all kinds of stuff. But I ran the board and played the local commercials in the Dodger games, and I knew who Vin Scully was because he'd done NFL games, and he'd done the PGA Tour, the Masters. So I absolutely knew who Vin was. I guess he'd been on the World Series at that point too, but I'd never listened to him every single day. And I was just blown away. That guy, every inning had a story. And he either had something in his back pocket ready to go, or, sometimes it's a big inning, there's stuff going on, and that is the story. But there's a lot of, 3 up, 3 down innings, or, you get a base run or two, but nothing happens. And he had something for every half inning. It was amazing. He was just spectacular.
So you didn't listen to him growing up?
I did not. The Dodgers moved around. So I do remember listening to some Dodger games when I was a kid, but if I was listening to a game, I was listening to Padre games usually, So, and I remember hearing a few because I think they were on KFI down there, which had a huge signal.
Right.
But they were on KABC, and you couldn't pick that up in San Diego. And I don't know. I have to go back and look. It was all blurry. I remember when they went to KFI, and I remember them leaving because I could hear that station. Yeah, and my dad would have games on all the time. But, again, he was mostly listening to Padres, but he'd listen to whatever. Baseball was his favorite sport. That was what he played in high school. So.
Oh, Pops was a jock? You never told me that. I thought he was just a nerd.
He didn't. He played 2 years of baseball in high school. He didn't get to play on the varsity his junior and senior year. As he put it, my eyesight's terrible, and I can't hit breaking stuff. It's like the ball disappears on me. I'm just waving at it.
But he could turn around a 97-mile-an-hour heater, huh?
I suppose so. Well, I suspect, as an 8th grader playing ball, he wasn't turning around anything in the 90s. So, yeah. But he loved it. I mean, There was never too much baseball for Dad. Absolutely not. All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up, Kyle Whittingham, $50 million, and sooner rather than later. We'll get to that next. Stay with us.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and Kyle Whittingham is back in the news. He's always been a good quote, PK. He'll say stuff, and he's saying stuff again. He says $50 million college football rosters will occur in the 2027 recruiting cycle. Say goodbye to that $20 million cap other people were talking about. That's not happening. Just blowing right through that. Just read a thing that college basketball is headed for $20 million rosters and college football for $50 million rosters. So there's going to be schools spending $70,000. Not to mention a bunch who can't quite keep up, but it'll be close at 50 or 60 million, whatever.
Yeah.
So what is the breaking point? Bum, bum, bum. Ryan says, I don't know, but sooner is better. Get this thing figured out and level the playing field. I don't think you and I believe that's going to happen, do we?
Has the playing field ever been leveled?
No.
The answer to that is no, it is not.
So why level it now?
It's not about to get level either.
I was going to say, it's never been level and never will be level.
Right,
but okay.
So why do it now? What's the reasoning? If it's never really been, why would I want it now?
Well, if your team has 60% of the money of the big dogs, you'd love to see a level playing field. That'd be the motivation for some people.
But it's never going to be level because it doesn't matter. Just say for instance it is. You're going to go to Ohio State or you're going to go to Chico State if you're an NFL guy. And suppose both have the same amount of money.
You're going to go to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right. Even if they get a salary cap on players, and I got to say that is hard to see that happening. Several things that have to happen. Players have to be declared employees. I think everybody's known that for at least 5 years, and nobody is even talking about it, let alone moving towards it. But even if that happened, Ohio State would just go back to what they used to have. They have an advantage. They pay the best coaches. They have an advantage because they have the best facilities. They have an advantage because they travel in style. I mean, they'll find another place to get an advantage.
Well,
they got all the history and tradition.
They don't have to find it. It's already at their front door. All they got to do is open the door, knock, and the blessings will flow unto you. Plus, too, it's not really talked about, but and this is something that has been out there as it should, that you could get set up if you're not a pro player a lot better in Columbus, in that area, than you could other places. And so it's to the old thing, you're not making a four-year decision, you're making a 40-year decision. So it's never going to be even. The teams that have the shot to win it all, they're the same teams. And, yeah, Indiana got in there. Good for them. And that's why we remember it so much, besides the fact that it was this season, because it is the exception. And if it were passed around, it would not be near the big deal that it is.
Chris, I would think Michigan would be up there. I'm with you, Chris. I think Michigan would be up there too.
Right.
Jared, is Kyle still whining?
No.
I don't think he's whining. I think he's been out there doing interviews, which he's kind of got to introduce himself around the state.
He's put himself out there, yeah.
Yeah, plus he's a national story, so national, not just mid-local, but national people want to talk to him too.
100%.
And I suspect that's just a question he got asked, so he gave him an answer.
No, actually, you could argue that he was whining when he was with the Utes because they were never going to be able to be at the top. Well, Michigan can be at the top, so he's just stating matter of fact.
Yep.
And that's the way that it's going to be, and he has the insight and the expertise to voice his opinion on this. I don't think he was voicing a negative opinion or an alarmist opinion. He's just telling it like it is. This is where we're going, people.
Yeah.
And unless there are some guardrails, I don't think he's screaming from the mountaintop, we got to have guardrails. He's just saying, unless there are some rules and some, not necessarily limitations, but some type of management that is across the board, this is what we're going to have.
It's easy to see how he would have gotten that question in an interview, because if he had stayed here, if circumstances were different, he would have gotten that question here. One of those Monday press conferences or after a practice one day, somebody would have said, where's this going? How much money are you going to have to spend next year?
Yeah, he's been talking about it.
$50 million. Yeah.
Well, he talked about it's going up 15, 20% every year.
Yeah. Aaron says Kyle's got 2 years to make it work. With that amount of money, they're going to want to see quick results.
Well, that's a fact. I mean, it's two different stories, but yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to want to see results this fall.
Yeah. Well, you can look at Michigan football. The last guy got 2 years.
Yeah, but there
were other factors.
That was significantly other factors.
But you can look around football and find coaches getting fired after 2 or 3 bad years. It's not surprising.
Well, even less. But that's you really got to hit bottom.
Yeah.
The running back who coached
UCLA.
Yeah.
That was a very quick decision at UCLA.
Yeah. Those things can happen. That's not news. If that were to come to that, he already knows that. You're expected to win. It's kind of, in a sense, it's kind of gross that you got guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who care that much about the result of a college football game that they're willing to pour in that amount of money. That just seems out of whack.
And David is right there with you. College athletics are going to price a lot of us out. It's going to become like pro sports and be mainly corporate if it isn't already.
Well, why does it price you out? This is not true. Why would it price you out?
Because he used to have the money to afford the tickets, and they keep going up, and at some point he can't afford them anymore.
Then watch it on television.
Yeah.
Far more people watch it on television than go to the games.
But there are people who desperately want to go to their favorite team's games in person.
Yeah, but they don't matter.
I know, and he's lamenting that. He knows it too. He can see it coming.
The price of a television and some type of subscription service. Now, that could price people out from there. But the fact is, if you're being priced out of that, you probably don't have the money to buy what the advertisers are selling you anyway. So the reality is they don't care about you.
They do not. I think that's why that story we had earlier about the NFL TV schedule being announced, or the NFL schedule being announced a week late because they're working on a TV deal. Well, they're working on a streaming deal for more money. And you're right. The people who are going to pay for that, if you can't afford Amazon or Netflix or whoever else ends up buying this, they don't care.
They're not targeting you and their products anyway. And if Bob gets priced out, but Joe then gets priced in, well, you're even.
I have literally heard that from somebody who prices tickets.
When? As recently as yesterday?
Nope.
Oh, dang it.
Probably 2 or 3 years ago.
As recently as 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, got it.
If someone cancels their season tickets, they'd rather sell 2 half-season ticket plans because they sell them for about 60% of the 50% of the games for 60% of the money. And
I understand what you're saying. So you get 120% instead of 100. Well, right. Yeah, whatever you have to do to be creative to sell your product. But right. I mean that the fans are always going to be there. That I am done with. Well, fans are going to check out.
Because we've been told a lot of times fans are going to check out, and we're old enough, we've sat around and watched it, and guess what? They haven't checked out.
No.
If anything, people are checking into sports more than ever. Sports is having a bigger moment than more than ever. There's more teams in more leagues, drawing more eyeballs, having more games televised. You were just talking about what it was like when we were both teenagers and in our 20s. There's way more sports available. This is the golden era. Now, you got to pay for a lot of it, but there's still a lot of stuff over the air for free. I mean, every weekend the networks are committed to it, and now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, which when we were kids, that wasn't happening. Prime time.
Well, you got to pay for it
there.
unless you go to a sports bar and watch it. I mean, who was it? Indiana. Was it Indiana and Oregon? Did they play in a semifinal this year? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a Friday night, and I'm down in Phoenix, and I'm like 2 miles from ASU, and it's just this place that I've gone to many times over the years, and so we went there because we were coming from the other side of the valley and meeting the infamous Jill, who was coming from the east side, and so we were
infamous Jill.
We were meeting there, and it was essentially
like
located.
Nobody wants to cook dinner. Let's go eat and watch the game.
And the place was packed.
Yeah,
literally packed. People are screaming and yelling, and this is no local connection here. But my guess is most of the folks there, if they were any form of connected to Arizona sports, were rooting for Indiana because nobody wants to see Oregon win.
Well, and there's a lot of Big Ten alumni who've moved to Arizona. All those snowbirds, they don't come from just Chicago. And even so, they may have come from Chicago, but 10 years before that, 20 years before that, they were at Indiana.
And the joke was understated or unspoken was, well, we're not going to root for Oregon because they got Phil Knight, who paid for all this.
Right.
Well, Big Doug Indiana sitting over there, Little Sisters of the Poor when it comes to money.
They got Mark Cuban right.
I know. Isn't that a joke?
Everybody's got somebody writing checks, but Phil's been out there longer and is easier to loathe.
Right, and he's a huge name.
Right.
And he has been out there for 30 years.
And he's a very visible presence at games.
Right. Right. And
I mean, he's actually a little mini rock star. He shows up on social media games. It's not his account. I mean, he's walking into the game. Now, granted, he's going to walk in, he's going to go to a luxury suite, and he's going to put on headsets and listen to the offensive coordinator call the plays. But nonetheless, he's just walking outside the stadium, and you'll see it. People take photos of him, and they'll go viral on social media.
Yeah,
Phil's at the game. Well, of course he
88
is.
years old now.
Why wouldn't he?
But it's like Phil Knight is just another guy now. He was just at the forerunner of what is commonplace. So I'm no longer going to crack on Phil Knight in Oregon. Not necessarily going to root for him.
Texas Tech
but the list goes on and on.
Oregon is just basically a hooker.
Quoted in ESPN.
Right.
Yeah.
Oregon now is just another bankrolled football program. And good for them. There was a thing when the Michigan job was being out there, and Dillingham's name was being mentioned, and so it was like they got together for bowl practice. So that was the first time that Dillingham has been able to stand in front of the media, and at that point I don't know if the job was offered or whatever. I don't remember all the details, but he was clear he was staying, right? And he said, "Now here's what we need to do. We need to get somebody in the Valley or wherever who is going to give us $20 million. And then I'm going to make that guy the most famous person in the Phoenix area."
We got half of it.
And so this past week, they got a guy who, big booster dude with big money, endowed the coaching position for $10 million. And now this guy is going to get a level of fame.
Yep.
And this guy comes out and says, it's about time that we get behind Sun Devil football and the rallying and the strong young man that he can develop. And, I thought they should have started playing Onward Christian Soldiers or something. I mean, it just, wow, this is something that's just going to benefit us all. And I'm thinking, come on. But what the heck? It's, he's halfway there. And it sets up an endowment that goes on for, I guess, I don't know, forever, how much those guys make. Some guy named Sweaty, Swette is his name. And he and his wife have established the Sweaty family endowed football coach position. Good for them. Way to go. Somebody wants to do that? What the heck? Now, this guy has donated millions before, but it's been to the academics. Well, who the crap cares about the academics?
Nobody knew who he was.
I was like,
Thanks for getting, being the chair of the biology department or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah, they have a Center for Environmental Biotechnology and Sustainable Food Systems, and the university's academic status has risen a lot in recent years.
Oh, yeah. I think it's totally I think it's under discussed. Maybe they talk about it then there. But if the Big Ten expands and wants more teams in the West, their academics are way better. In 40 years, leaps and bounds. Aren't they AAU now?
Yeah.
That American Association of Universities. And with all the Big Ten alumni down there, why would the Big Ten not want ASU? That seems to me like an obvious move by the Big Ten.
So good for him now, and good for all the fans. Now he's given money to endow the football coach position, because Dillingham just turned 36 the other day, and I think they might be a sleeper. From what guys are telling me from down there, they might be a sleeper, not in the way they were 2 years ago. That's the ultimate sleeper, but they might be a sleeper in terms of being a little bit
underappreciated,
respected right now. Because, with the Levitt kid leaving and all that stuff. So we'll have to see. And then if they are, then we're going to go through it again. If he rolls out a 10-2 season next December, it's going to be the same stuff all over again with is he going to leave?
Well, they were 6-3 in conference last year, even with the problems they had. It's not like they fell off the map. I mean, they didn't win it like they did the year before, but they were good.
Right. They're okay, yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, Brian Geltzeiler on the NBA playoffs, the draft lottery. What should the Jazz do going forward? Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
He's the head coach of the Utah Mammoth, Andre Torney.
There was a lot of conversation before this matchup with, the experience John Tortorella had. He's won the cup as a head coach before, and that potentially being an advantage. Is hockey, or is there a major difference at this level?
He is one of the guys who won the most game in the NHL. He's, like you mentioned, has a ton of experience. He won Stanley Cups, but there's nothing I can do about that. What you want me to do about that? Logan Cooley never played a playoff game, so what schools can do about it? Cannot do anything. You just have to go out there and play his game. So it's the same thing for the Bear. The Bear has just to do his job. I'm fortunate because I have an unbelievable staff. We have 5 Stanley Cup on our coaching staff, but at the end of the day, I just have to do my job the best I can, and the rest, there's nothing I can do. I have to make sure I give the tools for our player to be able to perform, and the rest, stay out of the way and let them play. Let them be the star of the show.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined now by Brian Geltzeiler. You see him on NBAtv, you hear him on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Hi, guys. My pleasure. How we doing?
We are doing well. I suspect you are doing better. The Springsteen music there. You and PK both have the Jersey thing going. Northern Jersey guys, not Southern
North Jersey, not Northern, just North.
Philly, North Jersey.
Taylor ham instead of pork roll, right?
Yeah, there it is.
The hell is pork roll? It's Taylor ham.
Oh, South Jersey people. Hey, I finally figured out, is your brother Barry?
He is.
I finally figured, I got... my relatives, my father had 9 siblings and my mother had 10, right? Big Italian family.
Oh, wow.
On my mother's side in West Orange. I finally figured out there's got to be some relationship. So I was bored one day and I started getting on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And my cousin's son follows your brother. So we do have a connection.
We have a connection there. Well, I don't. So it's one of those things where I wonder, listen, my brother's wonderful and we're very, very close, but he is quite the opinionated fellow on social media about certain things. So there's part of me is wondering, do I apologize for him? Do I hide my head? Or do I just wear it all with pride? And I think I'm going to take the latter and wear it all with pride. He is who he is. I love him for who he is. And but my brother is, to say the least, is a very, very interesting social media character.
Oh, I didn't see any of that. I was just going through the names, and I saw Geltzeiler and Barry and your Brian. I had to figure, well, that's an obvious connection there.
That is one of what my parents did to us, PK, which is the most embarrassing thing in the world. So my parents were Bert and Barbara, so they made the decision to name all of us with B's. So my oldest brother is Bruce, and then there's my brother Barry, and then there's me as Brian. And my mother used to drive around in a white Cadillac with 5 B's on the license plate. Like, you can't hide, okay? And my mother, who, God bless her, 94 years old, still going strong, okay, was never the best driver in the world. So, like, she'd cut somebody off not paying attention, and everybody always knew who it was. We never skated on that stuff, boys.
Nice.
I'm curious, given where you are from, and given the fact that the Rangers, the Devils, and the Islanders all missed the NHL playoffs this year, and then the Sixers knock out the Celtics and get the Knicks, and the Knicks blow them out in Game 1. I'm thinking the NBA right now is front and center in that part of the world like few times the last, I don't know, few decades. It's got to be the biggest thing, what everybody's talking about right now. Am I right?
Listen, everybody could be great right now. The Rangers could be great. Okay, the Devils could be great. The Islanders could be great. They all could be great right now. Okay, but the thing is, all right, if the Knicks are doing this, none of it even matters. Okay, listen, Yankees are playing great. Granted, it's May. Okay, Mets are terrible. Everybody could be great, and when the Knicks are doing this, they are the biggest thing. So it's the fact that no one else is doing anything here, and it's just the Knicks, only enhances it more. The Knicks are the most popular team in the area. They have a national following. They have the most celebrity fans, whether it's Hollywood, entertainment, sports, media. This is the Knicks, and right now they're hot as a pistol. Listen, last night's game, it's a very important understanding of last night's blowout, which was different than the Game 6 blowout of Atlanta, in the respect that Philly was gassed last night. Yeah. You look at the minutes, okay, that Philly's guys played on Sunday or Saturday night in that Game 7. Okay, just to give you a little bit of flavor there, all right? Paul George, 41. Joel Embiid, 39. Maxey, 45. Edgecombe, 43. Okay, in an emotional game that came down the stretch and they had to finish it in the last 2 minutes, I mean, is it really that surprising that they come to the Garden 48 hours later and look gassed? They were gassed last night. And the Knicks took full advantage of all of it. Nick Nurse has got to make some defensive adjustments regarding Embiid. Embiid got attacked very, very badly by the Knicks last night. They put him in every action. He was playing drop coverage with plays into all of Jalen Brunson's strengths, and Brunson had all the space he wanted to operate. That's got to be an adjustment that gets made. But Philly, listen, Maxey's a brutal matchup for the Knicks. He's such a hard matchup. He was not a brutal matchup last night, mostly because he didn't have his legs. He just didn't have the burst you normally see him have. But I would think that Philadelphia is going to come out more rested. There's no travel now. Not that it's a big travel series up and down the turnpike here, but Philly gets to kind of rest up in New York today, get a good night's sleep tonight and come out tomorrow, kind of different tact, different attitude, and see how they do. There was definitely a hangover from Game 7 in the Boston series.
I don't think there's any question of that. And we see that from time to time in the NBA playoffs. Remember the Jazz had one when they played Seattle that they came off a tough series. I don't remember what it was, but I know they had to go over there in less than 48 hours and play. And plus they were an older team, and they got worked. Basically had to give them a game. So we'll see what happens there. As far as just a general perspective from the East, what level of confidence do you have that anybody from the East has a chance, if they get an advance out of the East, to be able to compete with? I would think it would be Oklahoma City. We'll see how it plays out there.
Well, all right, so it depends. With Oklahoma City, it depends on one thing, and I don't think it's going to matter in this round just because – if we do see Luka Doncic play in the series, it will be towards the latter half of the series. But I think for OKC, they can get out of the West without Jalen Williams. If they face the Knicks in the finals, they're going to need Jalen Williams because they're going to need that second high-end scoring wing that you could run offense through to make the Knicks occupy another defender. And I think that's very, very important in that series. I think if it's San Antonio, and again, San Antonio gets knocked off by Minnesota last night, and Minnesota has got as much fight in them as any team you'll see here in the NBA. I think San Antonio, the matchup for the Knicks is a very, very tough matchup for them. I think the Knicks could absolutely beat San Antonio. But I think for OKC, fully healthy, I don't know that there's anybody in the East that could really push them. With all that said, We felt that way last year about the Indiana Pacers going into play OKC in an NBA final, and they took them to 7 games, and they were right there in the game at halftime of Game 7. So you kind of never know what shakes out here. But I think the Knicks look great right now. With all that said, OKC all hands on deck. It's outside of San Antonio. It's very hard to see any team in the league right now beat them in a 7-game series.
Did Minnesota mostly ride playoff experience? The fact they've been in Western Conference Finals and the Spurs are where they are for the first time. It's a 2-point game in San Antonio. There was a lot going on in that game. We've been hearing a lot about playoff experience because Vegas just used it to beat the Mammoth. We were told it was going to happen, and then it did. Should I think the same thing about that Minnesota-San Antonio series, or do you see, hey, that's one game and there'll be other storylines that matter as we go forward?
Minnesota is a very interesting case here because this was a team on several occasions over the course of the season looked like from a chemistry standpoint they were ready to crumble. And maybe no bigger event for them during the regular season was the 4 to 6 weeks that Julius Randle played sulking because his name was thrown into Giannis trade rumors. And, Randle, who wasn't necessarily thrilled being traded out of New York, but has adjusted to Minnesota, loves this team, loves his teammates, loves the city. And Julius is, he wears his feelings on his sleeve. That's who the guy is. And he does it in a way that can affect the rest of the team. But at some point here, and I credit Jade McDaniels, they all pulled it together because McDaniels became as much as Anthony Edwards is the face of that team and their best player and all that, McDaniels became the public-facing symbol of this: we are tough, we are brash, and we think we can beat anybody at any point in time, and we're going to not only talk the talk, we're going to walk the walk. And so when Anthony Edwards went out, McDaniels was able to step into a role that he had never stepped into before, and boy, was he good at it. And so you kind of look at that swagger across the board. Then you get a situation last night. And, guys, I can't emphasize how important this is to a team like Minnesota, where Anthony Edwards was coming back and he's on a minutes limit. The best way for a coach to manage a minutes limit with a player like Anthony Edwards is to bring him off the bench. Because it gives you more options later in the game on how you want to massage those minutes and where you want to play them. To have a guy of Anthony Edwards' caliber, an all-NBA guy, a guy that's been an MVP candidate in the past, be like, oh, yeah, dude, I'm in. I'm cool coming off the bench. That sends a message up and down this roster about the we, and that the we is more important than the me, and I don't need my ego massage. We're all here with the same goal. And I think for Minnesota, there is a togetherness that has happened. And listen, last year, what was that togetherness that drove them to the conference finals? That togetherness had everything to do with the fact, as fractured as they were, they all loved Joe Ingles, and Joe Ingles got a start in front of his autistic son, who had never seen him play on an NBA floor last year, and it galvanized this group. This year, it's been McDaniels brash talking, but now Anthony Edwards coming off the bench last night and doing it willingly and playing really well and really spirited basketball. They're all about the we right now, and they are so dangerous when they're that because they have a bunch of really good parts that fit. The other thing that's been an enormous factor for them in the last couple of games is the buy-in of Terrence Shannon. Terrence Shannon Jr. He's a very talented player. He's a very athletic player, a guy that I think was underdrafted and being taken in the 20s. But part of the problem with him was that he wanted to do his own thing on the floor and didn't necessarily buy into the offensive scheme, broke off plays too much. And Chris Finch last week was very matter-of-fact about that publicly. All of a sudden, you're getting Shannon's buy-in, and I love Dante DiVincenzo. With Shannon playing like this, they don't even really miss him. And that's the crazy part. They did this last night with Ayo Dosunmu, who, remember, won them a game in the Denver series, scoring 43 points. Minnesota's got this next man up mentality that's very, very hard to replicate. And they got athletes, and they got guys that got a lot of dog in them. And they're going to be very, very tough out for anybody in these playoffs.
How much stock do you put in guys who put up decent or very good numbers on teams that don't win and are basically losing teams? And where I'm going with this specifically is Markkanen and Keontae George.
So I think you have to look at every player individually when you're looking at that thesis, so to speak. And I say it in this way. I have no doubt in my mind that Larry Markkanen can and will be at some point a very productive player on a winning team. All of those abilities are right in there for him. And I think he can do that, and I think he can do that relatively easily. I really do. I worry a little bit about George because of the ball dominance, frankly. I really do. I think that the ball dominance of Keyonte George makes it that if you do have other players around you, are you going to be willing to give it up? Or in late game situations, are you going to be willing to pass the ball to find the guy for the right play? I mean, listen, I go back to Game 6 of the Toronto Raptors series against the Cavs. You know, Scotty Barnes made a decision late in that game when they needed a shot. And Scotty Barnes is clearly the best player on that team, but he passed the ball to R.J. Barrett for an open shot. Could you see Keyonte George doing something like that in a big spot? At this stage of his career, probably not. And so when you go to those two players, it completely depends upon the individual player. Do you play well with others? That is the big answer, because if you do play well with others, even if you're on a bad team and you can put up numbers, if you're a guy that plays well with others, you can be a solution and a major piece on a winning team. I do think Markkanen plays well with others. I worry a little bit about Keyonte George. And I'll say this, he's a young player, and I think he's got a lot of potential. But I think in some ways, depending upon how this team shakes out next year, there's going to be moments where Collier's the better fit with the ball in his hands because of how much more willingly he moves the ball and sets guys up, because between Markkanen and Jaren Jackson and Ace Bailey, there's other shot makers on this team outside of Keyonte George. He's going to have to, his big challenge going into next year is, how do I use those pieces around me for the greater good of the overall team? And I think that's something that Will Hardy's going to have to work with him on, but I do think of what we've seen so far, that may be a little bit of a challenge.
Of the many big decisions the Jazz have this summer, what kind of contract does Walker Kessler get, and what kind of contract will Walker Kessler agree to? And we've had multiple people tell us, in this era, you got to be very careful about giving a guy an extra, $5, $8, $10 million to make him happy, because you will paint yourself into a corner financially. And I'm curious if you think Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr., as good as they are, I'm not here to debate they're good, but are they $50 million worth of good? Because on average, that's about what they're going to make over the next 3 years. A little less next year, a little more further down the line. Are they 35, 40, or $45 million players, and they got a little much, and the Jazz are going to be painted in a corner financially? What do you think?
So let's look at the second half of the question first. The reason the Jazz were able to get Jaren Jackson for some mid to low tier first round draft capital was because of the contract. That's because they're willing to pay him. So that kind of answers your question right there. Is Markkanen overpaid? He is. And Markkanen's overpaid, because if the Jazz went to trade him right now, they'd be eminently disappointed at the offers, not because of the player Larry Markkanen is, but because of the contract. So now let's get to Kessler. Here's the conundrum the Jazz have with Kessler. If you let him go out into the open market and dictate his value, it only takes one dumb team to turn around and offer him 4 years at $140 million. That's all it does. One dumb team. And all of a sudden, you're stuck now with a front line that you're paying $135, $140 million to. And because if you want to keep him, or you let him go, and now all of a sudden you're playing smaller, you have a voided center. We're trying to figure it out with Kyle Filipowski or bringing Nurkic back on a small deal. And maybe that is the answer. Who knows? But I don't know, because the other thing with Kessler is this. Hasn't been available all that much. I don't know that you want to get committed there. And I think for the Jazz here, listen, they had opportunities to trade Walker Kessler and get for a first-round pick at least. I mean, I know they wanted 2 to 3, and that wasn't necessarily given to them. But I don't think you can go backwards and say, because we turned down a meaningful trade proposals for him in the past, that we're going to overpay him now. That was also before you had Jaren Jackson in the fold. And so you have to make the best next decision going forward, even if you look back on some of these Kessler decisions and say, well, we probably should have done that, but we didn't know we were going to get Jaren Jackson. We chose not to do that. With all that said, I think the roll of the dice is to turn around and let Kessler go find his own market. Now, there's dangers in that. Obviously, the one dumb team danger. And at that point, you could try to negotiate a sign and trade if you can. So there's that part of it. The second part of it is, if you do end up deciding to match him at a lesser number than what he thinks he's worth, because that was out there in the open market, now you get the Gordon Hayward situation, which is he comes back, he signs the contract, but he's pissed. And he knows when this contract's up, there's no way he's staying. And so that's, you don't want to put yourself in a spot like that where you alienate a guy that you value. And that's the hard part. With all that said, I think in this second apron era, you worry about smoothing hard feelings later, and you do what's fiscally responsible. So I think in the end, it's a long-winded way of saying, let Kessler go find his market. And if he finds his market and you decide the number's too rich, you got to say goodbye and move forward with what you have.
We will leave it right there. We appreciate it as always. Enjoy all the chaos that comes with the Knicks and the Sixers.
It's good. Listen, it's going to be a blast, and I can promise you this, guys. Okay, it ain't going to be a 39-point deficit tomorrow night in Game 2. That I promise you. Sixers are going to bring it and bring it hard. It's going to be a very fun series.
All right. He's Brian Geltzeiler. You hear him on SiriusXM NBA Radio. You see him on NBAtv, and he joins us here periodically to talk NBA basketball. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoe.
Joining us now, he is the owner of the Utah Jazz and the Utah Mammoth. Ryan, we can't thank you enough for hopping on with us.
My goal is to bring a championship to Utah, and we haven't had one. I want to hang a banner, and if it means that we have to do stuff a little harder, okay. But we're not going to tiptoe in to go beat San Antonio and OKC. Like, we're not going to tiptoe in. Like, we're going to have to do it the right way and build the right way. That's going to be what it's going to take, and you never know. But I just try to put the smartest people around, and I just feel like we're super lucky that we got this group. I'll just be honest, if they agree on things, I'm probably not going to stand in the way on anything that they come to, and that's typically how you want it. We've got really, really smart people here who also have that level of expectation, but all this is talk. We got to go do it.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back in. Joining us now is Utah Royals star. I call her a star because she's a local star. Brecken Mozingo. Brecken, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing so good. How are you guys?
We're doing well, and it looks like taking the league by storm. Is that a fair assessment? Surprise? I just read something on that very thing.
I would say so. Yes. Yes.
You've been with the team for a while, and it has been a struggle. And that's not really how your career went from Alta High School to BYU. Well, brief stop at UCLA for a year, and then BYU. There was a lot of winning going on. How hard was it to push through a losing season and another losing season and get to this point where you've won 4 in a row and you're rolling?
I mean, it's taken a lot. I think mentally, physically, all that. I think from all different sides and perspectives, from the players, from the coaches, ownership, even the fans. Like, we have experienced a lot together, and thankfully, in this year 3, things have started to roll in our favor, and that's just a testament, though, to everything that we've done the past 2 years. So it's kind of like, okay, thank goodness, about time, but obviously, we still have a whole season ahead of us. I was looking at the schedule the other day, and we've only gotten through like 8 games, and we have a whole nother 20-something games to get through. So it is too early to tell, but we are really, really liking the direction that we're heading.
Go back 10 years. You're 25, and if I do my math, 10 years ago, you'd be 15, and you're starting to make your mark at the high school level. What did you envision as far as where soccer could take you, and did you ever imagine you'd be playing for what amounts to your local team?
I honestly had no idea. I am honestly still living out a God-given blessing each day that I'm on contract here with the Utah Royals. But yeah, when I was 15 and little Brecken at that time she definitely just had her eyes set on college and making sure that she made her mark in college. And then once she got to being able to potentially look at playing pro, then she would get there. But I don't think pro was even in my radar when I was 15.
And now you're playing professionally less than 4 miles from where you played in high school. Do the rest of the players, some of whom traveled halfway around the world, like you, and think, no way. There's no way this is happening?
I know. No, it's crazy. Seriously, each day I'm very, very grateful.
How much did college prepare you for it then?
College was awesome. Definitely interesting. Jen Rockwood, my girl, she's amazing, and she definitely had her ways in terms of prepping a team, making sure they're ready for a outstanding season. She was very, very successful in what she did. In terms of some of the other, even just tracking what we did at practice in terms of meters and how fast we would run, she didn't really go too deep into that. She was more so just like, okay, if you can ball, you can ball, and you're going to be out on the field. So that's been one interesting thing in the pros, is just like getting used to like the stats and the numbers behind things and all of that stuff. It's a lot more like science-based, where it's like an equation and all that stuff, which is a little bit takes me off, but I love it, and I've grown accustomed to it, this being year 3, and college was awesome. Loved my teammates. My teammates got me ready. Coaches got me ready by giving me some minutes, which, again, I'm still grateful for to this day that I was able to get the minutes I did in college. But, yeah, it was a great experience. Got me ready.
Brecken Mozingo joining us, Utah Royals. What has been the difference? Why are you winning now when it was such a struggle for so long? What's happened?
I think it was just a, mental block, I think, in front of us. I think now the chemistry that we've had, majority of our starters are returning from last year. I think there was 1 or 2 positions that were kind of open for a new player that we maybe picked up or whatever, and it has really just come unfolded. These girls and these players know how to play together, and they're very successful at what we do, and we're kind of learning each other's strengths, and we know what each other is good at to make sure that we utilize that in the game. So I think that's a big thing, is just us building on each other's strengths and building that chemistry, and just overall realizing what type of team and culture we want to have for the rest of the year and for the rest of the venture for the Utah Royals being here in Utah.
Well, Brecken, thanks for taking a couple of minutes to join us. Congrats on the win streak, and good luck trying to keep it rolling. And as you say, 20-plus games to go.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for the time.
Brecken Mozingo, Utah Royals forward, former BYU Cougar and Alta Hawk, and the Utah Royals face the Houston Dash tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at America First Field. We have a 4-pack of suite tickets to watch the Royals in that game with the Dash. You want to sit in a luxury suite, watch the game, be caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. Yak is waiting to give those luxury suite tickets away right now. DJ and PK, when we come back, John Nabors joins us, owner of Inside Arkansas, host of Locked On Razorbacks. He's coming up next. Stay with us.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses for a limited time. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number, to a good night's sleep.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK, we had the question up. We were discussing it earlier in the show. The question's up on our Facebook page. Now that the Mammoth are out of the playoffs, what should we be talking about? And several people said college football. For years now, we've been doing a spring football tour, checking in on all the opponents for our local schools and seeing how they stack up and how they shape up. And, man, there has never been – there was always a little bit of doubt and mystery, but as the transfer portal picks up speed, there's more doubt and mystery than ever before. These things how much do you trust what you hear now, and how much do you think there's still doubt and mystery because these teams don't know exactly what they have?
Well, I think you have to look at it generally speaking, and I think there's some doubt, as you say. I think locally, though, that they haven't relied heavily on the transfer portal with BYU and Utah, and they're both coming off very good seasons, and they're both returning quarterbacks and running backs and obviously some other players there. So you're looking to sprinkle in to augment what you already have with your transfers. So in terms of having a feel for the two locals here that we're talking about, and of course Utah State, and then we'll follow Weber too as they get going, maybe so. But across the board, trying to figure out stuff in the conference or nationally, that is where it can get dicey.
Yeah, there's just there's so much change. And even if you can assess the talent, chemistry matters. And then, of course, you always have injuries that throw everything into turmoil as the season unfolds. They are, as multiple coaches like to point out, inevitable. So it's just how do you adjust? For Utah, they've got the University of Arkansas on the roster in their or on the schedule in their non-conference schedule. And John Nabors joins us now, owner of Inside Arkansas and host of Locked On Razorbacks. John, good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody out there in the great state of Utah?
Well, we just said goodbye to the hockey playoffs. We're waiting for the lottery with the NBA and the Jazz. And in the meantime, we're thinking college football, John. So we're pretty good. Pretty good. We got options.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I wish hockey was a bigger deal here in Arkansas, but unfortunately it's like basketball transfer portal is about as crazy as it's getting right now for Arkansas fans. So, but we're all over the place.
Utah's playing Arkansas in football. Arkansas is coming off a 2-10 season and with 10 straight losses. So that tells people a lot right there. But if you look a little closer, 5 of those were by a field goal or less. A couple of them were one-pointers. How much of a base is there to build off this team, and how much is it hit the transfer portal and fix this? Because 2-10's a mess.
Yeah, well, I'm going to take you one step further into this whole debacle that is called Razorback football. Not only have they, of course, as you mentioned, gone 2-10 and lost 10 straight games and had some of those close losses, since 2012, since the day that Bobby Petrino wrecked his motorcycle on that infamous day nearly 15 years ago, the Razorback football program in one-possession games has gone 17-49. Let me repeat that. 17-49 in one-possession games since 2012. If you want to know why Arkansas as a football program is not being viewed in the way that maybe it once did, or at least viewed in a way that's respectable, there's your reasoning right there. And so now you have a new coach in Ryan Silverfield. You have essentially a new roster. I believe over 80% of the roster, brand new, mainly from the transfer portal. You have some new freshmen. You have a complete clean slate inside the football program. And it just happens to be at a great time when they make it 9 SEC football games. You got Georgia being your first SEC football game. But, of course, the Utah team that you mentioned, they got to get through. So it's a tough thing to navigate. But it's interesting because, obviously, in the SEC, Arkansas has not had that much success over the past decade. In fact, in the past 10 years, Arkansas, five of those 10 seasons, half of them have ended with 1 win or less in SEC play. Just can't happen. So this is trying to rejuvenate the program. And to me, that Utah game, game 2, is by far the most important game of the season this year.
Yeah, and they got to come all the way out here facing a team that has his quarterback back and at 11-2. They may obviously made a bunch of coaching changes, but they're expected to be good. And they do have their quarterback back with Dampier. And for Arkansas, I understand it's a two-way battle between KJ Jackson and AJ Hill. Tell me, which of those initials is going to win it?
I think it's going to be KJ Jackson. I think it's always been KJ Jackson from the jump, and I think that's the way that they've approached it has been more of a coaching type of mentality of just trying to, not give too much out there and give everybody a puncher's chance. Because here's the thing: when Ryan Silverfield was hired, the day he was hired, he had 2 players that were currently on the roster be kind of part of that and part of that announcement to get people excited. One of them was Quincy Rhodes, the defensive end, which by far was the biggest get. Because he was a player that, despite going 2-10, he was a player that a lot of NFL draft experts had going in second round, in some cases maybe even a possible first round at the defensive end position. But the other player was KJ Jackson, who was the backup quarterback last year for Taylon Green, came in and started one game, played a little bit, but that was the other one. And I just don't think that you would have gone through, if you are Ryan Silverfield, through all of that process and all of that rigmarole and bringing him back and showcasing him and all that, if KJ Jackson was not going to be the quarterback. So I think he's the guy. I think he's going to end up being the guy. Is it by default? Is it because they have no better option? That's the ultimate question. But I do believe when it's all said and done, KJ Jackson is going to be the QB1 for Arkansas.
Reading up on spring football in Arkansas, I was surprised to see that you still get to see fairly significant portions of the spring practices, and it's been duly noted the same offensive line keeps rolling out there. Is that a sign that they've actually got a really good O-line, or is that a sign that there's a lack of depth and by default it's these 5 guys? How do you feel about that group?
Well, as far as your practice thing, yeah, they had to do that for sure because under Pittman and everything, it was locked down, and they're trying to do some things to try to get the fan base back. I don't think that they've done enough, but they're still at least trying to open it up and be more accessible to the team, which is nice. But as far as the offensive line goes, I believe that it's a middle-of-the-pack SEC offensive lineman. I don't think it's horrible. It's not bad. I mean, you're returning 2 starters from last year's offensive line with Caden Kittler at the center position, which is extremely important, and also Kobe Branham, who's a young player who has a lot of promise. So you have him, and then you added some guys that really were some good gets out of the transfer portal, whether it's Bryant Williams, came from a smaller school but had a lot of different offers. I know Tennessee was trying to get after him and get him on the team, but you got him. You brought some guys over from Memphis that I know Ryan Silverfield was really big on too. And ironically enough, Ryan Silverfield, his background is offensive line. Like, that's where he really got his start going. And during the spring practices, not only did I like the depth and like what I saw from some of the things from the offensive line, but you also had Ryan Silverfield over there the majority of the time working with him. As a head coach, he's always going everywhere, but with the individual drills, the vast majority of the times that I got to see, he's over there with the offensive line. So you would think, I know this didn't go the right way with Pittman, but you would think that if your head coach is by trade and his background is offensive line, that should mean your offensive line should be your strength or at least one of your strengths. So time will tell, but I think where it stands right now as far as the roster goes, they're a fine offensive line, but I think they're far from being a bad offensive line.
He brought his offensive coordinator from Memphis with him, and so looking at Memphis, they've usually had a good offensive line, or not offensive line, just an offensive unit. We expect much of the same in the way Memphis ran its offense.
I think so. I mean, you don't do that. You don't come in here and say, "All right, we're going to change what made us successful for the past 6 or 7 years, the past times that we were there in Memphis." Like, we're not going to do that. So I think we're going to see something similar. And I'm just basing off of personnel. I think that this offense is going to be based where it's not going to be flashy, and not to say they don't have good players. It's just not going to be the offense that we saw maybe the past couple of seasons with Arkansas and Bobby Petrino or anything like that. I think it's going to be focusing so much on controlling the time of possession, limiting turnovers, limiting mistakes, and just trying to grind out some games. If Arkansas is going to win some games, especially big games this year, it's going to be ugly games. It's going to be low scoring, kind of boring, whatever, which, hey, that's fine as long as you win. But just given the circumstances, I think that it's not going to be an offense that we're going to look at the end of the season and be like, man, that was a fun offense to watch, which is fine. I think it's just going to be a lot more efficient of an offense because they're really focusing on that. They're focusing on doing the little things right. And considering the quarterback situation, I'm not very trusting of it. It doesn't look very great right now, just from what I've seen from spring. But running backs, wide receivers, offensive line, I think they have some pieces where they can at least make it a serviceable offense this year.
Are there any difference makers? Anybody the NFL might be drooling over, or is it more the system and everybody's got to execute?
It's really tough, man, because, again, like, you've added, literally, 80% is just so many new players in here. Yeah. But I will say that there's been some guys that have stood out. Like, I really think Braylon Russell, he's been a running back that's one of the few guys that's been retained. He slimmed down a lot. He was a 4-star running back here out of the state of Arkansas, and he's going to enter in his junior year. He slimmed down, and he looks really good. He looks like the way an SEC running back should look. He looks lighter on his feet. And also Chris Marshall, who's a guy that originally he's a wide receiver, started his career at Texas A&M, transferred around, was ended up at Boise State here recently. But he's had some trouble off the field. He's had some issues that are pretty well documented. But his talent level, you see it. Like, you can just look at the guy back. Yeah, there's a reason why Texas A&M wanted him originally. He's definitely a game breaker. So those are the couple ones I would watch as far as, solid guys that you can maybe think that could be game breakers. But other than that, we just haven't really seen enough to know one way or the other.
How about along the defense? Defensive end, Quincy Rhodes, I read a little bit about him. Against Utah, man, they ran the ball like crazy last year. I mean, they were as good as anybody in the country, and they were right there with the service academies, which run the ball all the time. So I'm expecting more of the same with them to be able to run the ball at an extremely high level. I realize they lost 2 offensive linemen to the NFL in the first round, no less. But nevertheless, the history has shown us that Utah can run the ball. So I'm wondering from the defensive perspective to be able to stop them.
Well, I can tell you this, that the defense is going to be much improved from a year ago because it's hard to not improve from being absolutely god-awful. Like, it just is really, really tough not to at least improve there. But honestly, I think the defense might be the strength of Arkansas, as crazy as it is. Now, that strength may not be enough to win them 10 games, But I think the hiring of Ron Roberts, he's a defensive coordinator who was there at Florida over the past few years. A lot of SEC experience, was at Auburn at one point in time. He's brought a great staff, a great recruiting staff, especially over, and he's being very, very creative. It's not just a simple, like, all right, we're going to run a 4-3 defense, have 4 down linemen. And no, he has gotten it to where he has a lot of hybrid position players. He has guys that are DNs as well as linebackers. He has guys that are linebackers as well as cornerbacks. I mean, he's got these hybrid things to where you're going to see a lot of different formations getting run around. And I like the idea of it because at Arkansas, you're not going to get the big-time up-front dudes all the time like Georgia or Texas or anything like that. So you got to get creative. And I think that the way he's approached it and approaching his personnel is really great. So I think they're going to be better at getting after the quarterback. I think they're going to be better in the secondary, which has been a huge problem for them. But the running attack is going to be interesting because they don't have necessarily the size that you would think. So how are they going to be able to be physical up front? That's where the creativity may come into place. But, I think Arkansas is going to be a better defense. I think that their strength is going to be more so of getting after the quarterback. But that rushing attack, especially going up against a physical team, that's going to be the ultimate challenge, and they'll have an early one against Utah to solve that one.
I'm interested in your levels of defense. If they were truly god-awful, are you looking for just merely hideous, well below average, within reach of mediocrity? Where are you looking here?
Yeah, I'm thinking of just not giving up 80-yard touchdowns every game, something like that. Just kind of being to where you can put lipstick on a pig, don't pardon the pun, and just try to make it work. Because Arkansas's not had a great defense for a long time now, but there is their big plays, it was their penalties. It's just not fundamentally sound. Just being good enough to where, hey, if you can make a few stops, hey, get a couple 3-and-outs, maybe get up an interception or two. Just do some little things like that to make a difference. I think that'll go a long way.
He's John Nabors, owner of Inside Arkansas, host of Locked on Razorbacks. John, thanks for the time. We appreciate it. Thanks for giving us a little peek at Razorback football.
No problem at all. Looking forward to being out there in Salt Lake City this upcoming football season. It's going to be a lot of fun, great area out there, and looking forward to that matchup. Should be a good one.
All right. Thank you, John. That'll be Utah and Arkansas week 2 of the season. PK, he paints a pretty bleak picture. We are fortunate we are not covering teams that have that bleak an outlook.
Well, you're 2-10.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. That's...
Yeah. But and 2-10, a bad year. But to trace it back to one possession games for almost 15 years now, yikes.
Yeah, and your quarterback leaves, Green. He was a kid. I think he was at Boise, right? And then went down to Arkansas.
Correct. Yeah, Halen Green.
Now going to try to make it in the NFL. So. They've got to reload there. It looks like it's going to be a struggle for them. I would expect Utah to roll, actually.
Yeah. Especially when he starts talking about, not very big and physical in the run defense. You're like, well, okay. So now we know what.
And as both of you said, a god-awful defense.
Ugh.
I've never heard you use the expression god-awful.
Truly. Get the entire quote there. Yeah, it's not really my go-to. It kind of shocked me when he said it, but
I've done this show.
A lot of times you get these on and you talk about how some people in the media are fans following teams and all that, and he just lit those guys up.
DJ, I've done this show, so we went back last year because I wanted to figure out when I started with you guys. Mm-hmm. So today is my 12-year anniversary with you two.
Oh, wow. Happy anniversary!
Thank you.
Cinco de Mayo, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But I can tell you, in 12 years, I have never heard that phrase come out of your mouth.
It did surprise me.
It wouldn't have if he hadn't said it. But it just
I know, but still, that's not a Sniggledorf.
Down on these guys. I mean, you think turn the page with a new coaching hire and 80% of the roster's new. Nope, he's down.
Oh yeah, I mean, that's really bad. Saw the Sun Devils do it, but they had an NFL back sitting there that we didn't really know about. We knew decent, the quarterback played well, and an NFL receiver on the other side, and so they had some NFL talent. And they call lightning in a bottle, and good for them. I wouldn't count on that very often, though, to go from that bad to that good in a single season, particularly in the SEC.
Yeah, and he did it. The coach did it in his second year. We're going to coach here in his first year.
Right.
So can they set the table a little bit, and then get it up and running.
And Silverfield coached 1 year of high school ball, and he was 1-9, so he sucked in high school.
DJ and PK, when we come back, everything you missed in this show coming up next. Stay with us.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCoq.
The head coach of the University of Utah, Alex Jensen, kind enough to hang out with us.
I knew there's not any one person or one thing to blame, but the decline with the basketball at the University of Utah, I knew it had gone down. We played 4 top 10 teams at home, and we played Arizona was number 1 in the country, and the place was half full. And I remember walking out, and it was the first time I got pissed off because things had just slid, and it's everything. There's just a disconnect, I think, through the community. I can't count how many people that came up and said, yeah, we've had tickets, or we used to have tickets. Everybody remembers going to a camp when they were young, and they have memories of a game and stuff. It takes a while to build. The connection's been lost. And it doesn't help that the team changes as much as it does every year. I'd love to have the continuity, but that's just not with the rules the way they are now. It's not the world we live in.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Slacker Radio Headlines brought to you by Trajan Wealth. Call Trajan today, your local trusted financial fiduciary. Call them at 1-855-TRAJAN-1 or visit their website at TrajanWealth.com. PK, many stories to get to this morning. We had Brian Geltzeiler on. Get him wherever you get your podcasts. He had a lot to say about the NBA playoffs, the Knicks, a big, big deal, a big, big blowout of Philly in Game 1, but he's expecting a very different Game 2 after that 39-point annihilation.
Yeah, I think that reminded me of that. Remember that time the Jazz had to go to Seattle?
Yeah, they knocked off San Antonio in 6, I think, and then had to go play Seattle in the Western Conference Final in a short turnaround.
Right. So they basically had to give away that game. And I think that was because, the Knicks shot like 63%. My gosh, every artery in Majerus's body would have burst.
Yep.
If his team allowed somebody to shoot 63%. That's a stunning number. You just need to look at that, and you don't need to look at anything else. 63% to know that team was going to win that game. You're just not going to lose an NBA game or a high school game or any game. College, obviously, too. If a team shoots 63%, that's unheard of. I don't even think they shoot that high percentage in the All-Star game. So that's incredible.
See? Good point.
Right. So with that in mind, I expect it to be much more competitive. But, the story of the day is obviously Minnesota winning that ball game. No doubt about it.
Minnesota wins 104-102. There were a lot of great storylines for Minnesota. The fact that, first off, the fact they got Anthony Edwards back, that he was willing to come off the bench. He scores 18 points in 25 minutes, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. He did have a late turnover and gave up a couple offensive rebounds, and he was frustrated about that in his postgame interview. But that was a big boost for them. Mike Conley went into the starting lineup. 4 of 7 from the three-point line, hit a huge 3 in the fourth quarter. Just their playoff experience. They have so many veterans who've been in so many games. And, they've lost a bunch of playoff series in the second round of the conference finals. Julius Randle, obviously, with the Knicks before the Timberwolves. They got guys with experience other places, Gobert and Conley. But the fourth quarter, they were really good until like the last 2 minutes. And then they made a mess of it. The Spurs, and especially Wembanyama, and PK, that stat line, that's not the stat line that has the Spurs getting, number one, where they are, and number two, where they want to go from here. 11 points on 5 of 17 shooting and 0 of 8 from 3.
Yeah, what's amazing, he's had more blocks than points. You wouldn't think that.
Nope. 12 blocks, 15 boards. He did the other stuff, but... Yeah.
And shooting is shooting. And Gobert, he's a whipping boy in the NBA for some reason. Shaq seemed to be jealous of the attention and money he got. He's not a prolific offensive guy, but offense is important, but so is the other side of the game. And so he's very good at that. And we'll see what they do to make adjustments to get Wembanyama a good opportunity to make more shots. I mean, he's a phenomenal player. There's just no doubt about it, and he's really, really good. And he had a bad game offensively. I think you got to give Gobert some of that credit, but I think that when it's said and done, they still win the series. It just goes to show you, man, how difficult it is to win an NBA series, right? The Nuggets gave the Timberwolves a little bit of a challenge there. Probably should have given them more of a challenge under the circumstances, but didn't. And then they got to go to San Antonio to win that game. It's so emotional. Well, if you win this series, most likely OKC's sitting over there waiting for you. So you got whatever you did in round 2, you got to do more in round 3. Maybe if you got through round 3, the Eastern Conference team would be easier in the final. But I don't know. We have no idea of knowing that. But the fact is, it takes a lot of effort and work to win an NBA title. No doubt about it. I've only been in the winning team's locker room once, and that was the Bulls, Michael Jordan in the fabulous form in 1991. And as they celebrated wildly to the point of running out of liquids to pour on people, and they were scrounging up. This is how innocent it was back then. They were scrounging up change to the soda machine and getting root beers and pouring it over their heads in that situation. But the overriding emotion seemed to be one of tears. And people were crying. I mean, because it just takes so much, and particularly for the Bulls in that situation, which had had a number of crushing defeats. So, man, if you finally get to the mountain, you deserve to go crazy because it is hard to do.
When we look for Game 2 adjustments, the three-point shooting, you pointed out this morning, the Spurs, 10 of 36, 28% is terrible. But it really comes down to Wembanyama and Fox. Those two were 0 of 12. Everybody else was 10 of 24, which is about 40%, and that'll win a lot of games.
You ain't live with that.
But Wembanyama and Fox just couldn't make anything. A combined 0 for 12, Wembanyama 8 of them, Fox 4 of them. And I wouldn't think those two are going to keep shooting like that. Nor would I think that we'd see another 4 of 7 from Mike Conley on the three-point line.
But a lot of his shots were wide open, though.
He did get good looks.
I mean, he's way down the totem pole in scouting reports. And the thing that I didn't like, man, they go with a step back, a slide step 3. Well, I don't know. It just seems.
Well, they had 6 seconds to get the ball up court and get the shot.
But that's what they looked like they were going to do if they had 26 seconds.
Possibly. I didn't think Wembanyama, when he got that last rebound with 6 seconds left, I didn't think there was a ton of urgency there. I'm not sure if he was aware of the clock.
I can see why, judging by body language, which is what you're going by. I get it.
Yeah. So Timberwolves win Game 1, 104-102. Tonight we get the Lakers and the Thunder on NBC, and the Eastern game will be over on NBC Sportsnet or streaming on Peacock. So a little harder to find that game. That'll be Cleveland and Detroit.
I'd be more fired up about that second game if Doncic was playing.
Yeah, but without Doncic, Thunder roll, right?
Well, I think they'd win the series with him.
Right.
But without him,
they roll.
I don't expect a lot. That's just too much to ask.
Yeah.
I would favor OKC anyway, but I'd rather see Doncic in there because he's carried some teams. And he carried the the Mavericks to the finals that year, didn't he?
Yep. 6:30 tonight, NBC, Lakers and Thunder. The NHL playoffs continue on. Vegas, fresh off knocking off the Mammoth, win Game 1 over Anaheim, 3-1. It was 1-1 with 5 minutes to go. There was an icing call that was waved off that Ducks didn't think that Vegas should have gotten that go-ahead goal. So there's a big old beef there. Vegas added an empty netter, and they win 3-1.
Well, with Vegas doing so well now, I'm regretting the fact that I turned in my Vegas gear.
Nice. You'd like to pop that back on?
Yeah.
You probably have more than one. You probably still have something buried back deep in the closet.
I've been in Vegas, and I've watched playoff games with Vegas people.
Minnesota and Colorado tonight, ESPN at 6 o'clock. Colorado won game one in the series 9-6. So we'll see what these two have in store for us.
Well, that's just
tonight.
crazy lack of goaltending. But then again, Patrick Roy isn't walking through that Dwa.
Patrick Roy. Did you do that on purpose?
Yes.
I thought so.
See, instead of door, I said Dwa.
Dwa.
He's not walking through that Dwa. I don't know how you get however you pronounce his name. It's spelled R-O-Y. That looks like Roy to me. What do I know?
No, I know. Wah. Patrick Wah. We spent a little time talking broadcasters this morning. Who fired you up? Who are the legends? Because Yankees lost John Sterling, passing away at the age of 87. He retired just a couple years ago. He called over 5,000 games, including 8 World Series appearances. The Yankees win. And that got people recounting the glory days of the superstations, because both the Cub and Brave announcers got a shout-out with Skip Carey and with Harry Carey. And, of course, there's a couple of Southern Californians. We immediately went to Vin Scully, who was awesome.
Yeah, I actually got my Vin Scully in Arizona, moving over there and not having any baseball team. And Dodgers were on. Dodgers were on KTR, which is owned now by Bonneville. Mm-hmm. And they 98.7 is their sports station, a sister station owned by the same company. But they broadcast the Angels and Dodger games, and I was always a National League guy, so I gravitated towards the Dodgers. I mean, they used to have that thing. What was the guy's name? Goodman, I think it was. You know, for kids, you can send in and get some material or memorabilia and a hat or something, you know, and it's like $25, you know, and you get 4 or 5 things. I mean, I think I did that. Sending in, because the Dodgers that was the only thing I had was Dodger baseball on the radio. So literally from 14 to 15 years old, growing up with Vin, Jerry Doggett and Ross Porter were the other two, but Vin was the man. And then, of course, moving over there. And then standing in the food line once covering a Dodger game, and there's a guy, I could hear a voice behind me, and he was getting real animated about some umpiring and getting quite colorful. I thought, man, I recognize that voice. And I turned around, and it was Vin.
Yeah, I never got to interact with him. That would have been cool. And he did a lot of other stuff. I mean, there's clips you'll watch, old Masters
golf,
clips.
football, yeah.
And the NFL, when Montana throws to Clark in the back of the end zone to beat the Cowboys, Vin Scully was calling. I think that was the last game he called for CBS. So sometimes you see old clips and you'll see that stuff. That stuff's all out there on YouTube if you like that kind of thing. But baseball was it. I mean, he was with the Dodgers in Brooklyn and then all those years in L.A., and he had a million stories. The one that always stuck with me one day when I was sitting there playing the commercials in the Dodger radio network at KTMS in Santa Barbara, and he told this story. They were in Pittsburgh, and it was some dreadful game. I don't know, 11-2 or some blowout. And it's late, and it doesn't matter. They're just getting through to the end of the game. And he starts remembering about, and at that point they would have been playing, they hadn't built the new ballpark with the gorgeous views of downtown. They were playing in Three Rivers Stadium. And he started talking about calling games at Forbes Field. And at Forbes Field, the only way to the press box was through the stands. And he said the fans would stand and yell at you and sometimes throw stuff. You would linger. He says you used to linger after the post-game show as long as possible, waiting for Forbes Field to clear out so you didn't have to deal with those people. And he was calling the pitches and just getting through the half inning. He always had a hilarious story.
Well, yeah, he would be in this very century tell you stories about Jackie Robinson.
Yeah. Yep. He bridged so many generations of baseball.
60 years.
Unreal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jackie Robinson's story, one half inning. Sandy Koufax story, the next half inning.
And when I was a kid back east, Marv Albert was the guy. Yes!
Oh, yeah.
Yes! With those Knicks teams. Back then, when I was listening and watching the Knicks religiously.
Unlike Vin, he started really young, didn't he?
I assume he did. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then we all got to know him because he got picked up by NBC and TNT. So saw him call a lot of national games. Yeah, but their true passion. I mean, they love the job and they love the money and love the fame. But you could hear it when they were calling games. They really enjoyed the game. And you said that about Hot Rod once. This has always stuck with me. That the thing you loved about Hot Rod was that if the other team did something sensational, whether it was one play or it was a run during a game, like you could tell Hot Rod just enjoyed good basketball.
He did.
He enjoyed the sport.
He did.
And really, that should be the minimum we get out of these broadcasters. Like, there's so many people who love the sport. There's got to be somebody who can call whatever game who loves the sport. So let's hear some passion.
Right. I want guys that, or ladies, doesn't matter. They love the sport. And for Rod Hundley, he clearly loved the sport of basketball. And I get you're going to get slanted. I don't have any problem with that. If I turn on local announcers and expect them to be 100% impartial, which I don't think is possible anyway, I'm the fool. This is not the way it is. But I always loved when a great play was made. It reflected in his excitement of the game that he was watching before him. He enjoyed great basketball. And great basketball is just that. When it's played the right way and it's done in a selfless manner, the ball's moving and these guys are coming down doing what they do so slick and so smooth, that is something to get excited about. And you always could hear it in his voice.
Yeah. Which is why you get so frustrated when it just turns into a one-dimensional three-point contest.
Right.
It's like, guys, there's other options. Feel free to explore them. Come back to the three-pointer in a couple minutes. How about somebody go to the rim?
Well, yeah. I mean, my basketball history is the Knicks in the 70s moving the ball. And then the Lakers in the 80s. Sorry, Jake Scott, but that
moving the ball.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I come up here and they got a dude who is moving the ball and seeing things 2 seconds, 3 seconds before they develop and putting that ball right on the money. That's what always got me excited about the game.
You really are spoiled. You've seen Walt Frazier, Earl Monroe, Magic Johnson, and John Stockton. That's a nice quartet.
Yes.
It's a nice little group right there.
Yes, exactly. That's the nucleus of my basketball.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know who's right with you? I know you're not watching the show anymore. I see it a couple times a week, and I happened to see it yesterday. PTI, Michael Wilbon, lost his mind over the Celtics shot selection. He was so frustrated.
Yeah.
He was so frustrated.
Especially down at the end
when
when it was a close game.
And they got one plan. And if it doesn't work, they are so stubborn. They just stick with it. They didn't need that much more. But they were just going to go down one way. Kornheiser was over there just giggling because clearly he's been hearing Wilbon yell about this for years.
Right.
It wasn't a one-off. But it was when he was going off, I was like, wow, Wilbon should sit down with PK. They could just lose their minds together.
Right. If you're hitting, fine. But if you're not, try something else.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah. When I was playing high school basketball, we didn't have the three-point shot yet in California high school ball. They got it a few years later. And but even taking 18-footers, the coach is just like, you missed 3 in a row, guys. Take it to the hoop. Get yourself fouled. Get a layup. Maybe the defense collapses on you. You throw it out to somebody else. And what are you doing?
And shooting is fickle.
And it is, and especially from distance. It just, even inside, even in post play, it can be a little fickle. But, yeah, you start getting out 18, 20, 25 feet. Or in the case of Steph Curry and Damian Lillard, 35 feet. Still fickle.
Right. But, I mean, those guys, I'll excuse them because they've got a long history.
Yeah. Don Mattingly is working his magic. The Phillies are 6-1, PK. The team of your youth. Look out. There's still 5 games under 500. Maybe one day they'll be the Cubs, who are 16-3 in their last 19 and 12 over. It just seems like baseball, there's more big streaks being run off. Are there more teams tanking in baseball so there's some easy wins built in to get these hot streaks going? What is going on? Because this whole, hey, win 2 out of 3, keep your head above water. I mean, there are teams going on runs for weeks.
Teams that get going and are in a groove and start getting good pitching, and then the hitting, everything perks up that way, and a couple guys get hits. and then it just sends the message, hey, we got this guy, whoever's out there. Confidence is it's a strange thing, but it's required. And it also seems that when you're not going well, you have crappy at-bats. And when you're going well, your at-bats, even if it's not a hit or you get on base, you're moving the runners, you're hitting the ball hard. I mean, they've got all those statistics. And I think over time, those things, if your velo, they call it, or how many times you've hit the ball hard, because we know in this sport you can get a check swing bloop that doesn't even dent the grass and get a hit, and then you could hit just a bullet right at somebody and they catch it. But over time, that's what you want. I've always thought analytics in baseball is the most appropriate of all the analytical sports. All the analytics that are used in sports, I think baseball is the truest.
I don't think there's much question about that in a team sport. Maybe the analytics are only better in individual sports, maybe golf or tennis or something. But in these free-flowing sports, everything that happens before impacts what's happening right now. So it's really hard to say, this is the thing you need to focus on, because there's so many things going on at once. But in baseball, everything stops. One pitcher throws one ball to one batter, so you can isolate that stuff, and I think those numbers just mean more.
And every pitch you can take an analytic from and use it to your advantage. Right. Literally every single pitch.
Yep. And you're right about that velo thing, because I just read a thing about Fernando Tatis Jr. for the Padres not hitting well, not good numbers and all that.
Oh, because he's off the juice.
He was right, but he was talking old school, frustration and all that. And then they talked to some of the other, people, and they were like, "Yeah, but we've checked all his numbers. The number of times he hits the ball hard, the exit, the velocity, and all." And they're like, "It's all there. He's hitting it right at people, and it's like it's all going to be fine. Just wait."
I think it will be.
He's like, all the numbers are good. It just doesn't feel like it because the old school box score doesn't add up. But he's hitting the ball hard. And it's 4 feet short of going out of the yard, which might be the juice. Or he's hitting a line drive right at the third baseman, which that's just bad luck. Always has been. All right, DJ and PK, when we come back, your feedback next. Stay with us. Feedback of the day is brought to you by Half-Priced Granite. Transform your outdated kitchen with Half-Priced Granite. $25 per square foot installed. Visit halfpricedgranite.com. Got a lot of comments coming in here this morning, PK. We got multiple questions up, and this one, Kyle Whittingham says $50 million rosters will occur in 2027 recruiting cycle. What is the breaking point? Ike Armstrong, at Ike Armstrong, with a picture of the legendary Utah football coach and athletic director.
Yeah.
Obviously a Ute fan taking on a persona, thank you. I've wondered at what point the U administration says enough and the brethren say enough for the Y. I believe there's a number where both scenarios happen, and I do not pretend to know what that number is.
Well, the brethren being the boosters?
I do not believe that's the brethren he is referring to now.
Well, they are brethren.
And I think
who carries more weight there?
Feels like right now.
Jake, I think you know exactly what he's getting at.
Well, I know what he's getting at. I'm just.
Yeah, the brethren is capitalized, so I assume he's talking about.
They're sitting about
in a very tall
mile away from us right now. Yeah.
You're only a mile away from me?
Yep.
Right over there, yeah.
I've had some interaction with the brethren. Two guys in particular.
Yep. You told me one of those stories, and you said it made you a little uncomfortable.
Well,
you know me. I prefer to remain anonymous.
Not too bad. One was over golf, and one was at the Park City Hotel.
Yeah. Yeah, put your mug on TV. These things happen, PK. That's what it comes down to. Daniel says, has Kyle got any suggestions how to remedy the situation?
No.
Probably, but I don't think he was asked about them or we would have heard them.
Well, it takes a uniform approach that I don't know is going to be there.
Nope.
And
he's gone down that road before and suggested that, but it's never gone anywhere. And he's not someone who spends a lot of time wishing for stuff that isn't going to happen. That's just a waste of time, and he's not big on wasting time.
Right.
Donovan Mitchell-Stan, the NFL hard cap's around $225 million, and college football will not pay that much. Well, I never thought they'd pay $50 million either, so I'm a little leery of throwing stuff around. I know why you say that, Donovan Mitchell-Stan. I get that. But I don't know that I want for any guarantees about where this is going, because it's already gone. It's accelerated very quickly to a very big number.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. That's accurate, definitely.
And I just saw a thing there's going to be like, well, it's all estimates, but basically 20 teams paying $20 million per roster in college basketball. Now, it wasn't that long ago and it's probably 4 years ago, that we were told you had to have $2 or $2.5 million if you wanted to build a team that could get an at-large NCAA tournament berth. You know, you could win a conference, especially based on what conference you were in, with less than that. So it's not like every NCAA tournament had that, but the teams that got the at-large bids, which were in the power leagues, they were spending $2.5 million. So now players getting more than that, and we're going to have 20 teams doing $20 million, if you can believe the numbers. I know, they're a little sketchy.
Oh, I can believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that.
It was how long ago was Morgan introduced?
Morgan?
December, right?
I think it was January. It was right after the holiday.
Okay, all right. Because at the end of that press conference, it was held in the South End Zone. And then a bunch of people were summoned by the sports information staff into the room, which you would recognize, PK, because it's where they do the football postgame.
Yeah.
And Mark Harlan stands there and takes questions, which he rarely does. I don't know. That might be the only time I've been in that situation with him, where he had 15 people standing around him in a semicircle, old school, 1900 style. And he just took questions. And it got a few questions in, and then if I remember correctly, he pivoted off a question that was in the neighborhood on NIL, but he got to a point that I thought he clearly wanted to make. And that was that the U was going to be aggressive with NIL, but was going to use the clearinghouse, and everything was going to be by the book,
right? And
they were going to follow along. And he wanted to make that point. Now, that was 4 months ago, and at the point, nobody laughed in his face and said, what are you talking about? That's ridiculous. You're only saying that because you don't have enough money. At the time, that wasn't where college sports was. But this is accelerating so fast. 4 months later, if that same scenario played out, people would be giggling and giving each other the side eyes. It's accelerated that quickly.
Yep.
Then it seemed like, well, people might stay under this cap, and he says they want to. And now it's like, everybody's blowing past that cap, and it's just 4 months.
Incredible.
Crazy how fast this is changing. We're all done. Coming up next, Scotty and the coach. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
I'm here on the job site with Dale, who's a framing contractor.
Hey, good morning.
Dale traded up to Geico Commercial Auto Insurance for all his business vehicles. We're here where he needs us most.
Yep, they sure are.
We make it easy for him to save on all his insurance needs, all in one place, with coverage that fits his business and bottom line. Oh, I shouldn't have looked down.
It's all right.
We're so far up here.
Look at me. Take a deep breath.
No, I'm good. So good.
Get a commercial auto insurance quote today at geico.com and see how much you could save. It feels good to Geico.